They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Spanish lanes don't work. That's the myth. But I don't see any numbers in here.
There we go, ma'am.
Okay. City where it does.
We're ready. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Good evening. I think it's evening, but you never can tell in this weather. So I want to say thank you for joining us here in person, and we also want to recognize those that are watching online for our April 27th business meeting. So now let's begin with introductions at the dais, and we will start with our working city clerk. Okay.
Billy Tons, Deputy City Clerk.
Andrea Leslie Fight, City Attorney.
Good evening, Dimple Edgemere, at large.
Good evening. I'm Victoria Watlington, and I have the pleasure of serving you as a member at large.
I'm Joy Mayo. I represent District 3.
Marcus Jones, City Manager.
I'm Vi Lyles, Charlotte Mayor, but I would also like to take a moment that we continue to recognize Councilmember Johnson, who is working and very hard to keep her husband healthy, and I hope she's watching us tonight. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. James Mitchell, Mayor Pro Tem.
Good evening, Kimberly Owens, representing District 6.
Malcolm Graham, District 2.
Ed Driggs, District 7.
Good evening, Luana Mayfield, Council Member at Large, and I would like to acknowledge our Judge Charlotte Brown is in the house with us tonight.
Good evening, JD Masueta Arias, proudly representing the East Side, District 5.
Good evening, Dante Anderson, District 1.
All right, thank you very much for all of you, and we'll continue our meeting. We begin our meeting with an invocation and expression of inspiration, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. This information is intended to solemnize what we're doing in the work that we do. We expect that we would like to have all of you participate and follow us, but we want to do this and let us know that we celebrate the religious diversity in our community, including those without a religious faith. Tonight, I'm going to ask Councilmember Ajmira to give us our invocation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening. Please bow your heads. We gather tonight in service to our community, guided by a shared responsibility to listen with openness, lead with integrity, and act with purpose. As we recognize Earth Day and Arbor Day this past week, let us be reminded of our deep connection to the world around us, to the trees we plant, the water we protect, and the neighborhoods we are called to serve. Charlotte Water has asked residents to practice voluntary conservation as our region manages dry conditions, reminding us that our natural resources are not unlimited, that reality should guide every decision we make, from how we grow to how we build to how we protect the people who call this city home. May our decisions reflect not only the needs of today, but the hopes of generations to come. Whether we are discussing transportation projects like I-77, the placement of data centers, or the preservation of green space and clean air, may we remember that progress must never come at the expense of people. Let us have the wisdom to balance growth with stewardship, innovation with responsibility, and urgency with fairness. The trees we plant and the environment we protect are lasting investments in Charlotte's future, symbols of resilience, sustainability, and care. May we carry that same spirit into our work here, nurturing a city that is inclusive, thriving, and worthy of those who will inherit it after us. We are thankful for this day, its opportunities, and its challenges. May we be inspired to give our best and be assured of your presence with us. Let us move forward together.
Amen.
Amen.
So please join us, if you would like to, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
Flag
of the United States
of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mayor,
Yes, sir, Mr. Diggs.
I would like to just take this opportunity to point out that we have the Charlotte Catholic School Political Science class in the chamber with us. Would you guys stand up?
All right.
Welcome. Let's put on a good show for them so that one day they may want to go down and be in these seats. Thanks, guys.
So I think he was just making an offer for you guys to come down after you take out all of your college and everything else that you're going to do. All right?
Right.
So thank you very much for being here with us tonight. So let's continue. We'll start with our consent agenda items, questions and answers placed for the council that have opportunity. So I have before me, the agenda items 23 and 43 may be considered in one motion, except for those items removed by council. Are there any items to be removed by council?
Excuse me, Mayor, just, sorry, logistically, there's also two that have been pulled. Item number 41 and 43 are settled. They're property transactions, so they're removed from the agenda.
That's a good plan, that we get something accomplished in that. So thank you very much. And so I did.
31, please.
Ms. Watlington.
31,
Yes.
please.
I couldn't hear you.
31.
31. So the item 31 will be on this, so. All right. Anyone else that had anything that they wanted to pull or change? Hearing none of that, let's go to item 31. Okay. And who presented that item?
Oh, I thought
Who made a
Mayfield
motion?
had some. I don't know.
Ms. Wallen, go first.
Okay. I didn't want Councilmember Mayfield to miss her numbers. So if, we're going to jump to 31 then? All right, thank you. I had a couple of questions for staff. Thank you all for pulling some of these answers. I just want to enter them into the record for the public. Firstly, as it relates to the CATS Capital Program Management Services, are the consultants going to be assigned the tasks for the CBI firms listed in the staff report?
So those are the ones that they've put forward. And now it depends. This is task order, so it's not already predetermined. And depending on the task order, yes, they will negotiate with the CBI firms, with the ones they've listed and potentially others too.
Okay, so what's important to me is that in particular for the CBI related businesses, that they are included on some of the things, right? Because what I would hate to see happen is our team that was brought together end up not being able to utilize their CBI businesses because those tasks don't fall within their scope. So what role do we play in ensuring that?
So we do work with them and negotiate based on the task, and based on the general task, they've already identified some people that they would use. But to your point too about following up, anytime they submit an invoice, they have to submit their utilization too. So we do monitor that.
For sure.
For payment.
Okay, so that one's pretty important to me from a proactive stance. I understand certainly they'll send over the appendix with the payout, but I want to make sure that we're helping to guide those discussions to ensure that there's sufficient utilization on tasks that make sense.
Yes.
Does that make sense, whether it's risk management or any
Right,
other?
and this is more project management, so they've already got some partners lined up for those, yes.
So then, I'm sorry, last thing on that one. I just want to be clear, the partners are there, but when it actually comes to executing the work, how do we know that those partners will be utilized for the specific scope that they?
So in general, they're just based on the types of work they're doing. They already know I'm going to do this project management, so I've got these partners whenever I get. So there's two firms, and depending on which one aligns better with the task, it's more so about which firm versus the specific, because they've already designated who CBI partners they're going to use.
Okay.
So if you, sorry, and maybe I'm not being clear, but if you look at the bottom, so if I'm one of these and I get a job, I know I'm going to use this person for risk management, I've already defined who I'm going to use, because that's going to be kind of standard, or no matter, even though the scope might be different, it's going to be standard for the project management work.
So what you're saying is if firm A has a risk manager and firm B has a risk manager, they've already determined which firm is going to take that piece of the scope. I could see if only one firm has a particular type of service, but if two firms have the same service within their team, how are we ensuring that CBI firms are actually getting part of that
So
scope?
when the task is done, we city staff and CBI and CATS work with them to make sure they have participation, or they
Perfect.
wouldn't move forward with a task unless, to your point, unless it's some unique extenuating circumstance where they weren't just consulting and not doing something.
Gotcha, thank you for that. My second question there on 31 again is there a mechanism for CATS to report back to council how CBI utilization is being tracked on a monthly basis? I know we talked about the payouts and the invoice appendix that comes with it, but.
So there's a couple options, you know, if council, it's up to council's pleasure, if they would like to receive like a report out. Currently, they don't, but they are included in the, it's not as robust as what you mean, but annually from the CBI report. And we do get it on invoice basis, but to your point, if council's preference is to receive it more often, we could provide that.
I certainly would like to see it more often, just because this is going to be a substantial one going forward. Then thirdly, after contract execution, would CATS be open to the consultants bringing in other local firms?
Yes, for sure. I mean, of course, we always want more participation. Now, it depends. We'd have to work with procurement to make sure, and CBI to get them, make sure they're registered, and make sure whatever requirements or legal pieces are in place, but yes.
Awesome. And then lastly, I just wanted to comment that it's important that as we think about all of the infrastructure and transportation work that's going on in these CAT-specific projects, that coordination is there with NCDOT going forward, because there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made, and as we'll hear more about later on today, thinking about the projects as a part of that broader network. So
Yes,
thank you
ma'am.
for
Thank you.
following up on these.
All right. All right, Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I'm tracking 100% with Councilmember Wallington. This is the largest transit project in the city's history. These firms identify small and minority-owned firms as the part of their package. And I want some assurance that these guys are going to be utilized and that they were just not inserted to get the contract. And so can they come back in 6 months and tell us where they are with the utilization of those firms that they have identified?
Yes, because we wouldn't be paying them, so, and we could tell you two things, what contractually was negotiated, and also report out on utilization.
Utilization with those firms that they identified that will be a part of their team.
Correct, and it's task order, so you know how many ever, so it's each one, so it's individual ones. When you said a big project, yes, sir, for sure, but these are task orders on individual pieces of a project, but yes.
I think that's extremely important, and you said the second one is payout, and making sure that when these firms are paid, that the invoices are timely paid. That seems to be historically an issue, and so small business owners can't wait as long as some of the other big boys that are getting paid. So if there can be some, again, a 6-month comeback to this council in terms of all those firms are being utilized and making sure that they are timely paid for the services that they rendered. They can't wait 60, 90, 120 days. Right?
Okay,
Like
thank you.
some of
Yeah, our
our-
general is 30-day turnaround, and we tried to beat that. So if you're hearing about the ones that aren't, yeah, we definitely will look into that.
There's a reputation out there that we don't pay out bills timely. Well,
Okay,
timely,
yeah.
right? And so
Thank you.
as we move forward with this, especially towards small businesses, I mean, they just cannot wait, right? So I'm tracking with Councilmember Wallington on that for sure. Yes, I'll just leave it there, and I would love for this to come back in 6 months, and we can find out who's on first and who's on second, and who's participating.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I do want to know that we have the opportunity for us to have additional information, so I'm going to move the consideration to Ms. Mayfield on item 31.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Along with Dr. Watlington and Councilmember Graham's comments, I want to make sure that it's very clear where I think we have an opportunity when our subcontractors contract with the prime. That is a separate contract that the city is not a part of. One of the challenges that has been shared with Councilmember Mitchell and other members of council is it is our subs that do not receive necessarily 30, 45-day pay. They may receive pay 60, 90 days, or even up to 120. And the way that the contracts are written, they do not have the ability to come to council and to go back to help ensure that their payment is within a timely manner. I believe that the city pays the prime in a relative quick manner. That prime is not always making sure that our subs, who are in much different financial positions, we have a couple of $1 million projects here, more than multi-million-dollar projects where we have a participation where one prime is getting $5,000 or another is getting under $50,000. Well, that $50,000 could be the turnaround of whether or not they're able to pay their employees. And although under council member leadership and other council members' leadership, we created a partnership with Climb. Climb is not there to be a enforcer of payment. They're not a payment collection agency. That is not why we created that partnership. They're to help with the contracts. So we've already identified this. Staff has been working on it. We just, I believe, from my colleagues, we want to ensure on the front end, because I have asked this question at previous meeting, how do we track when we identify multiple subcontractors to be a part of a major contract? How are we tracking? Because we have some that I've met where they were listed to be awarded a year ago, but yet they have not actually been able to participate in work. So I think we have an opportunity with utilizing modern technology and other ways to actually track to ensure that if we're going to identify you as being rewarded, we should have some type of mechanism where we're saying within a certain window, either a quarter or by the second quarter, we have clearly identified that sub being able to participate or have a window of expectation of when they will be able to participate. Of course, this does not fall all on you, but I'm hoping that staff, as mainly our manager, here's where we have an opportunity to really ensure that we are supporting and growing our small businesses in the city. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has a remark or an issue? So let's go ahead and say that are we prepared to take a vote for any additional items? All right. Item 33.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, so it'd be a motion for consent items 23 through 43 with the exception of, actually, 41 and 43.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, second over there.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. I believe that's unanimous.
Thank you.
So now comes the fun part.
All right, so let's go ahead and continue. And I want to recognize Councilmember Owen Kimberly. Would you take?
We didn't take an action.
Action on item 31.
Did we take action on item 31?
No.
We need a
We
motion.
just talked about it?
Councilman Watlington.
All right, thank you, Ms. Watlington.
Move to
Okay.
approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor? All right, I believe that's unanimous. Thank you very much for that. All right, so Councilmember,
So, am I just reading the proclamation?
yes, please.
Your show.
Thank you. I have a proclamation to read. Whereas amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also commonly known as Lou Gehrig's disease, is a progressive, fatal neurodegenerative disease in which a person's brain loses connection with their muscles, slowly reducing a person's ability to walk, talk, eat, and eventually breathe. and thousands of new ALS cases are reported every year. Estimates show that every 90 minutes someone is diagnosed with ALS and someone passes away from ALS. Whereas on average, patients diagnosed with ALS survive only 2 to 5 years from the time of diagnosis, and the exact causes of ALS are unknown, and there is no known cure for ALS. And whereas people who have served in the military are more likely to develop ALS and die from the disease than those with no history of military service. And whereas securing access to new therapies, durable medical equipment, and communication technologies is of vital importance to people living with ALS. And whereas clinical trials play a pivotal role in evaluating new treatments, enhancing quality of life, and fostering assistive technologies for those living with ALS. The ALS Association is the largest philanthropic funder of ALS research globally and has committed more than $154 million to support more than 550 projects across the United States and 18 other countries. The ALS Association is committed to make ALS livable and cure it for everyone, everywhere. And whereas ALS Awareness Month provides an opportunity to increase public awareness of the dire circumstances of people living with ALS, acknowledge the terrible impact this disease has had on individuals and their families, and support research to eradicate the disease. Now, therefore, our mayor, Vi Alexander Lyles, does hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as ALS Awareness Month in Charlotte and commend its observance to all of our residents. Witness her hand and seal, the City of Charlotte, Vi Lyles. Is there anyone in chamber to whom I can present the proclamation? Okay, we will follow up with the person who proposed it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great job, Kim.
And so now we will go to our public forum. I would like to thank all of you for joining us, and on behalf of the entire City Council, I ask that all speakers and audience members be civil and courteous in their use of language. Speakers are encouraged to address council and should refrain from responding to audience members. Likewise, audience members should be courteous of each speaker and not yell out or interrupt that person. We want to ensure that everyone has the chance to be heard. And since there are more than 10 speakers today, each speaker will have 2 minutes to address the council, and we will start with Gary Marion. Mr. Marion.
Do we have anyone in overflow? Is there anyone in overflow?
Is someone in overflow? I'm not aware. Okay.
If Gary can hear us, then he can come in.
All right. And then our next speaker is John Chin. Mr. Chin, thank you. If you would come down and get a microphone up there on that dais up there. Thank you.
Will this one work?
Yes, this one will work. You have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
My name is John Chan. I'm with the Carolina Asian American Chamber of Commerce, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. In 2022, in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic and the rise in anti-Asian violence, our team made a commitment. We have a vision to transform our diverse and often insular community with a significant income disparity in recent decades into one that's more connected and mutually supportive entity, especially for those who are underserved. I'm pleased to report to you that we've been making meaningful progress. In 2023, we launched a Journey of Hope exhibit with a 3-month event that brought together over 20 ethnic groups to share their stories. It's not just an exhibit, it's a bridge connecting 20 communities who rarely worked together in the past. And with the City Council's support, with the Eco Partner and later on the Financial Partner grants, we're able to expand our programs for workshops to support the small Asian-owned businesses, as well as skill trade training for the young adults in our refugee communities. This year, over 50 participants will work and get a certificate in areas like HVAC, electrical work, EMS, computer literacy, all pathways leading to solid jobs and better future.
Thank you very much.
2 minutes there fast? Okay.
It does go very quickly.
We are deeply grateful
Well, I
for your
think,
support and partnership. We're not just building programs, we're building lives, strengthening our community and creating opportunity for everyone to succeed. Thank you very much. And also, I want to acknowledge the people coming to support us, and thank you, the Cambodian and the Montagnard communities. Thank you very much.
thank you very much. Our next speaker is Jeremy Lamb. I'm sorry, Angelica Crawford. Crawford?
Yep.
Good evening, mayors, city council members, and community leaders. My name is Angelica Crawford. I am the executive director of Jumping Dreams, a world champion, Charlotte-based nonprofit Double Dutch program. For the past 8 years, Jumping Dreams has served over 7,000 youth across our city. We've provided summer camps, after-school programming, summer feeding initiatives, and consistent youth engagement, even during COVID when kids needed it the most. Through the art and sport of Double Dutch, our athletes have represented Charlotte nationally and internationally, bringing home first-place titles, but more importantly, demonstrating discipline, leadership, and strong character wherever they go. Tonight, I'm not here just to share the story, but to ask for your support. In June 2026, our Double Dutch program will represent the city of Charlotte in a world tournament in Cincinnati, Ohio. These are talented, hardworking young people who have earned this place on stage. We're seeking financial support to help cover their essential needs to get there. It could be travel, lodging, meals, anything. The kids work really, really hard to represent our city for the positive that Charlotte has to give. And we don't want the financial barriers of the families to prevent them from going. If you need numbers of how you guys can support, I'm happy to send the email to get the support. But it's bigger than that. So we've been here for 8 years, and we've gone from churches to schools to community spaces, whatever we could do to provide programming. What I'm looking for is a home for our kids. If you think about a kid going from foster home or family homes, they're not gonna grow effectively until we have a home. So I'm looking for a home for Jumping Dreams. If the city can help us get a home so we can sustain, grow, and continue to make an impact. I'm a product of what I started, along with all of our coaches who are volunteers, coming from Hartford, Connecticut, Boston, New York, everywhere. And now we're here to pour back into the kids. I'm just a product of what we do, and I need help. That's it. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you for what you do. I mean, that's an important thing. And to have Double Dutch winners, this is like really cool, right? So let's just see how the community can help as well as we can help, and we'll just keep on going. Thank you so very much for what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wish I brought the bag for it so we could just put everybody's money in right now. So, but we'll figure it out. We'll work on it. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Dr. Donald Jason. Jeremy Lamb. I really get this one. Jeremy Lamb.
Hello. Hello.
Mr. Lamb.
Hi, my name's Jeremy Lamb. I play cello in the Charlotte Symphony, and I'm here thank you, for the second time in 6 months to talk about all the cars that drive around that have either no mufflers or they have illegally modified muffler cutouts. So they do that to make a hellacious noise. And last time in October when I spoke here, you put me in touch with Sean Heath, the deputy city manager. But he honestly didn't even know what a muffler cutout was. And so he said he would talk to the police, and I don't think he really knew what to do. So I just, in the last couple months, just walking around the streets of Charlotte where, I'm dining and sleeping and, whatever, I made a video for you guys, and I'm turning the volume up so you can hear what cars sound like with modified muffler cutouts, okay?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I know what it says.
Wait, no.
Don't pull up the wrong video.
Thank you. I think that we got it. We really did get it.
Thank you. It would be great if you guys could do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you for your music. I mean, seriously, thank you for playing in the orchestra.
I think he really meant the symphony part, not
I
about
did, the
what I was
music.
listening to, right? Thank you, Mr. Driggs. All right, so we'll continue on, and we're going to hear from Barbara Wine.
Donald.
Down Ellington Drive? Dr. Johnson Jason. That's Jason.
Donald Jason.
Donald Jason, yeah.
Is he here?
Mr. Donald Jason, no.
Oh, okay, so I'm so sorry. Mr. Donald Jason. Donald Jason? Okay. All right. Now, we'll go to Barbara Wine. Ms. Wine? Barbara Wine? Okay. And then our next one is John Abraham. Mr. Abraham?
Speaking for 12.
Yeah. So Mike Wine, Mr. White, Mr. Mike Wine. Okay. I think we got Anthony Abram. We're just going down this list here. Anthony Abram, just to make sure. Chris Connolly.
There he is. All right.
Okay, here we are. Thank you.
These videos get everybody off. Good evening. My name is Chris Connolly, and I have lived in Charlotte since 1993. My family moved to the downtown neighborhood as pioneers in 1998. Back then, our downtown was just starting to populate with homes and learning how to come alive after 5 p.m. As true believers in our city's promise, our neighbors wholeheartedly supported our leaders' efforts to make this happen. In time, our city attracted tourists, diners, sports fans, music-goers, music lovers from across the region. We even brought leaders here from across the nation to see President Obama accept his historic renomination in 2012. And for a while, we were so proud, and with good reason. But every bit of that progress to attract and keep residents and visitors is now in jeopardy. Is jeopardized by lawless street takeovers, is jeopardized by bicycle mobs that endanger themselves and everyone around them, is jeopardized by grown men acting like adolescents, showing off, trying to prove something by blasting their car sound systems and revving their engines like they're at NASCAR or cutting out their mufflers like we just heard. All of which is illegal, but none of which is enforced or penalized. This is because our police department is grossly understaffed and must therefore triage and respond only to the crisis of the minute. It does not have the necessary resources to proactively tackle the offenses that destroy the attractiveness, the livability, and the vibrancy of our community. I think we would be embarrassed right now on the national stage if we were to bring back the DNC here with what we've allowed our center city to become. Sad to say. Last year, this council passed a substantial vibrancy tax just on the Tryon Street business and residential community. That money has not yet been applied in ways that can significantly address these very traffic-related issues on this Tryon corridor, which is literally and figuratively the backbone of our city. We ask that you use these resources and other resources, our tax dollars, for effective reinforcement of these traffic and noise-related laws that will make our city enjoyable and safe. Thank you for our service to our community.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Matt Wessler. Thank you. Come on down.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Matt Weschler, and I serve as one of your advisors on the Charlotte Bike Advisory Committee. I'm also the father of a 19-month-old toddler who rides on the back of my bike as I commute with him from the West End to daycare in Uptown, which I've been told is very cute. In my role on the BAC, I regularly hear from Charlotteans who would also like to bike with their children, but choose not to because they feel our streets are unsafe. That perception is grounded in reality. In Charlotte, pedestrian and bicycle crashes make up just 1.5% of all crashes, yet account for 29% of all serious and fatal injuries, a disparity well above the national average. When streets feel dangerous, people don't bike. As a result, Charlotte lags behind peer cities like Minneapolis, where the average worker is 10 times more likely to commute by bike. That difference is not accidental. Minneapolis has made sustained investments in building a safe, connected bike network, funding its bicycle program at roughly $14 per person per year, compared to about $3 per person per year in Charlotte. That funding gap translates directly what we can and cannot build. Charlotte's bike program is a low-cost, high-impact safety tool. It allows people to avoid our high-injury corridors by building connections between existing low-stress neighborhood streets, turning dead ends into living ends, while linking strategic investment areas into a coherent city-wide network. For that reason, the BAC recommends increasing the bike program budget from its current $8 million every 2 years to $20 million every 2 years. If new sales tax revenues are programmed as anticipated, that would scale the bike program proportionally with overall CDOT funding while significantly expanding its impact. Thank you.
Thank you. So our next speaker is Hugh Templeton. Templeton. Hugh?
Long way down. Take your time.
Just take your time.
Mayor Lyles, Pro Tem Mitchell, good to see you.
Nice seeing you, sir.
My name is Hugh Templeman. I'm the General Manager of the Grand Bohemian here in Charlotte. I was the opening General Manager and been here for 7 years and I'm a proud resident.
Thank you.
My history is that I've worked and lived on 4 continents doing luxury hotels for over 38 years. I'm representing a community in this town with me in the audience that is very concerned. The market is down 4% of travelers coming into Charlotte over the last 12 months. Part of that problem is amazingly attached to the video we heard earlier, noise in the city. One needs to understand that perception is reality. Not only is the noise an issue, it is also the perception of safety as an issue. In a location that has got a convention centre, more than 212 hotels, more than 2,500 restaurants. I have examples which I'd like to share with the council, which I'll pass out, of all of the complaints. Not all, many complaints that exist in our world. I'm going to give you an example. My hotel, 70 complaints in 2025. Now, 70, not so big deal. There's a thing called intent to recommend. That's when a guest tells you either online or through a survey or what have you, how well are you doing? My hotel does 78% positive process versus 22% negative. Not so bad. If you take that number out, it moves to 83% if you take the noise complaints out. That puts you in elite status, right? That mentions you into premier process. We're talking about how do we do this and make this better. You know, we're losing business as a city. I'm losing business as a hotel. How much of a problem? $140,000 I spent to put third glazing into my hotel. My investment into a noise problem that's our problem. It is very important that we as an organization or as a city address this issue not only for its safety issues, but its long-term negative impact on the potential business outliers that exist for us as a city. But I'm coming here with a solution. We have an idea. There are places around the world that do this very well. Even in our own country, in Philadelphia, where they come up with a situation of sound-activated street cameras. So you'll get fined if your car is too loud.
You, Mayor, would like, go ahead.
No,
Sure.
I just wanted to make sure that we're being recognized in this, and so we've had your remarks, additional remarks as well. We've heard this is an issue, and I think that we've got to pay somewhere in a place to figure out how this works better. So thank you very much for the comments and bringing it a reality. Thank you.
No problem. I'll leave these here.
Give it to the clerk at the end there.
Perfect.
Our next speaker is Kathleen Mundell.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I pretty much have nothing left to say because I am also here to talk about the noise in this city as a neighbor who lives here. And I would like, but still quickly, to make a couple of points. One is that we who live in the city understand that cities are noisy. Noisier places certainly than suburban neighborhoods and rural neighborhoods. I would like you to understand that we living in the city are neighborhoods too. We live in a neighborhood. I have spent 23 years at the corner of 7th and Church Streets, a block away from the Discovery Place. That's my neighborhood. We have families, we have houses, we have children, we have buildings. We in the city are being subjected to noise levels and safety issues that would not be tolerated in other parts of the county. Excessive noise levels lead to safety issues. Noise and safety issues lead to business issues, as you've just heard, and they discourage people from coming into the city. I mean, I can tell you about my brother and sister-in-law, who with a group of 6 other people came into the city all the time. They were in the city when I first moved here more than I went to the restaurants in the city. I can't get them to come to dinner anymore, you know? You walk down the street at night, and it's noise, it's aggravating. We live in those of us who live in the city live in literally a canyon where that noise that Jeremy talked to you or listened to you, that reverberates forever at 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes on Sunday afternoons. I would like to say that Charlotte aspires to be a world-class city. But while several world-class cities and other cities of our size have instituted creative pilot programs to deal with these issues, we have not. And you just heard one of them, which is a very popular one, and that's the cameras. So I want to tell you that we want to be a world-class city. And we are asking you and our elected officials and public leaders to find it in yourselves to tackle this problem that other cities are addressing while I'm sitting in here speaking. I know we can do this. I know we can be a city with a truly enviable reputation, but right now we're coming up short.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You so very much. Our next speaker is Charles McDowell. Charles?
Oh, what's in the packet?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Charles McDowell Medina, and I have been working at Charlotte Airport for over a year. I earn $12.50 an hour helping American Airlines passengers who need wheelchairs assistance navigate the airport safely. The passengers I assist can be elderly, disabled, or visually impaired. I help them with their luggage, assist them getting to the bathroom, and make sure they are able to get something to eat before they get to their flight. I try to make passengers' day better and help them travel with less stress. But every day I face stress due to my poor working conditions. The weight of being the sole provider of my family sits heavy on my shoulders. I take care of my young nephew and help my sister out. If I have to miss a couple of days of work because I'm sick, it disrupts our entire cash flow. I don't get paid sick leave, and I can't afford health insurance. If I don't go to work, I won't be able to pay for basic necessities. These are a pair of my work shoes. As you can see, I walk 10 to 14 miles every shift, and I'm now on my third pair. The reality for us workers at Charlotte Douglas International Airport is that we're understaffed and don't have enough workers. Some of us are even asked by management to double push, meaning pushing 2 wheelchairs at the same time. Imagine walking through a crowded airport, pushing 2 wheelchairs at once while trying to navigate around people. Now add a tight connection and their luggage to the situation. It's stressful and can be dangerous for both me and the passengers. When it's really busy, I've seen passengers left behind waiting more than 30 minutes because there simply aren't enough of us. My job is to make sure these passengers are comfortable and safe, but how can I do that if I'm being rushed by management? They rush us while doing aisle chairs. These are narrow wheelchairs we use to transport passengers. We're helping them to get to and from their seats on the aircraft. But some of these chairs are maintained and falling apart. We can do our best for customers, but management tells us that they can get fined if passengers stay on the plane too long. Passengers deserve better, and so do we, the worker.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dorothy Griffin.
Oh, Miss Griffin.
She's not here.
Is Miss Griffin here?
She's up there.
She's
Oh, she's up there.
She's at the very top. Thank you so much for, opportunity for her to be here. So thank you very much. Go ahead and begin.
No. Hello, my name is Dorothy Griffin, and I've been working for the airport for 8 years. I've worked as a terminal cleaner, a cabin cleaner, and now I'm inside the pro shop at ABM. And my job is to give out the equipment to the workers that clean the planes and search the planes for foreign objects, their equipment, so they can do their work. We play an important part in the travel safety of the passengers. But we work hard to make sure that they have safe travels, but we're underpaid. We're tired. If we don't, excuse me, I'm tired. My coworkers, sometimes they don't have the right equipment to work with, and we get blamed for that. We don't get no overtime. We always have to do this. If they don't find an object on the plane, they get fired. They're always, I'm tired. Whew. I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm just tired of making poverty wages. We have to do all of this, and they want us to give them our best, and we do give them our best because we love our job. But most of our work, half of our workers are homeless. We don't make enough money to feed our families. We don't make enough money for this. I'm 68 years old. Last year I had to let my car go because it was either drive to work or have somewhere to stay, and I chose to have a place to stay. We don't get PTOs. We don't have time off. I am a grandmother, a great-grandmother. I have 17 grandkids, 14 great-grandkids. I had to take a PTO, an unpaid day off to see the birth of my great-grandbaby. It's not fair. All we're asking for is livable wages. We do Charlotte Douglas Airport. We give them our all. And as everybody knows, American Airlines is one of the biggest airlines out there. It's no way that we should be making poverty wages and they're raking in all the money. It's just all we're coming here wanting is to pay us what we're due because we give you what you're due. Make sure you're safe when you travel.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Ms. Corley. Ms. Corley?
That was Sharon.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for your time. I'm here to ask that you install a noise camera on Church Street to address the persistent problem of excessively loud cars and motorcycles. This is not just an annoyance. Chronic noise affects sleep, stress, and well-being. It's a safety issue as well, since Uptown is densely populated with crosswalks, jaywalkers, dog walkers, workers, and children. Cities from New York to California have already implemented noise camera systems. In 2023, Knoxville's noise camera pilot program caught over 1,300 noise violations in only a few months. Their noise camera data demonstrated that these loud cars often drive with quick, dangerous acceleration in heavy pedestrian areas. Their threshold for enforcement is 82 decibels, about the sound of a blender. Many altered cars far exceed 100 decibels, comparable to a jackhammer or being on a construction site. More specifically, Knoxville signed a contract with the company Blue Line Solutions out of Chattanooga for red light speeding cameras. Blue Line Solutions Company subcontracts noise cameras using Intelligent Instruments Company noise cameras out of New York City. Again, this is at no additional cost. Knoxville has gotten the red light cameras, and at no additional cost, they get the noise cameras. They are moving forward with 2 permanent noise cameras in their downtown. We all want Charlotte to remain a lively, welcoming city that looks after residents and visitors. By handling noise violations objectively, without traffic stops or extra police resources, we can protect our quality of life and keep Uptown safe, vibrant, and fun for all. I strongly urge the city to implement a camera on Church Street. If other cities are successfully solving this problem, why can't Charlotte?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tom Hatchett. Where are you? Where is he? Our writer.
Dr. Hatchett.
Yeah, Dr. Hitchens. Minister thought he was.
Is Dr. Hanchett in? If not, we'll go on, and our next speaker is Connie Proctor.
Good evening. My name is Connie Proctor, and I'm currently serving as chair of the Bicycle Advisory Committee. The last time I was here, I shared with you a vision of a calm but vibrant tree-lined street where people of all ages and abilities could move freely. I come back tonight to remind you of that vision and ask for your action to help make it a reality. Dr. Watlington sent a message yesterday acknowledging that the way we have been approaching transportation planning is wrong. I am here to strongly agree. Community needs and concerns should not be considered at the end of the process. They should be considered at the beginning. Important work has been done as part of the Strategic Mobility Plan. The community was asked what they wanted. The answer was clear: more choices. People in Charlotte want to be able to choose something other than a car for every trip. They reiterated that desire when they voted for the 1-cent sales tax. It is time to listen. It is time to shape the budget to reflect those needs and desires. It is time to build public spaces that serve children, the elderly, and everyone in between. I am therefore asking you to increase the bicycle program budget from $4 million annually to $10 million annually. Work with us to find ways to deliver better bicycle projects quicker. The only way to solve traffic is by providing viable alternatives to driving. So let's fund those viable alternatives. Let's build a Charlotte where we can meet face to face, not windshield to windshield. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Phoenix Emmanuel. Is he? Mr. Emmanuel? All right, I'm going to go to the firefighters' budget request for Melendez. Juliana Melendez. Okay.
So when would I talk about that?
Good evening. Let's play a game, Where Was My Husband? February 2026, during the first 2 days of a back injury, when I could hardly walk to get myself food, use the bathroom, or tend to our dogs. January 2025, when I frantically called my husband that our power was flashing in and out, quickly followed by the smell of burning within 60 seconds. The dogs and I were home with no heat in freezing temperature for days without him. September 2024, I was in our home with no power for 15 days. I received one last call the morning of September 27th, my husband asking if we were okay, as Hurricane Helene unexpectedly stood over our county in South Carolina before he went radio silent for days. He left on deployment to the mountains of North Carolina with other fire departments to help. Here's the truth. Where was my husband is our everyday reality in our household during sickness, our region's famous snowstorms, and other weather-related incidents, holidays and birthdays. The shifts for phone calls are only a few minutes long, and much more. Can I share the hard reality of our household? My husband has always had a second job, as many firemen do. Our friends often ask, so what is your husband's side hustle? Every fireman we meet has a second job. Firefighters work 52-hour work weeks, 12 more than other departments. Meanwhile, we cannot afford to live within a reasonable distance from the city, which employs my husband. We currently face an even larger economic stress as we experience a one-income household for the first time after I was laid off in December of 2025. My husband loves his job, but I see all this risk and sacrifice, training and dedication, passion for serving the citizens of this city, while we cannot sustain even the basics of living where he serves. We are falling behind on sleep, quality time, and bills, while he's risking his life running into burning buildings. I watch my husband sacrifice his mental and physical health with long-term emotional and sleep issues. I am the wife of Fireman Travis Cash, who serves in the Special Ops team of Charlotte Fire Department Rescue 11 while maintaining a second job. We demand a livable wage to provide for our family. Where is Travis Cash tonight? His second job. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez? I do not. All right, we'll come back. All right, our next speaker and our last speaker for this evening is Mr. Lockhart.
Yeah, I don't see James Lockhart.
I don't see him either. Okay. So this concludes our opportunities for our public hearing and having that. Thank you all for being so patient and being so, I just really have to say, it's a good way of getting to know what's going on, and you guys have done a great job to help us tonight. Thank you very much. All right, we have Mr.
It's on the record. Mayor and Council, I just want to recognize a colleague, a former colleague who served on the dais, actually serving this seat as Mayor Pro Tem. He's here tonight, Mr. Braxton Winston. Braxton, glad to see you here, sir.
All right, so let's go on to item number, a public hearing and a decision on a resolution to close a portion of an unopened right-of-way off Henson Road. Thank you. All right, it's a public hearing. No one signed up, so is there a motion?
Move to approve A and B.
Second.
We have a motion for A and B and a second. Any other comments? All in favor, please raise your hand. Anyone opposed? All right, that's unanimous. All right, the next one is a landmark designation. So let's see is this the one for Dante's area? Opening a public hearing on the Ferries Farm Silos Historic Landmark Designation. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers? We have no speakers. Anyone on the council for comment? All right, all in favor?
Move to conduct the public hearing to close portion of unopened right-of-way. A and B, adopt the resolution to close.
Second.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Mayfield. All in favor, please raise your hand. Anyone opposed? There's no opposition, so let's see. So now we're going to go to a public hearing on a resolution to close a portion of adjacent to Raleigh Street. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers? We don't have any speakers. Is there anyone from the council?
Move to approve A and B.
Second. All right, we have a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Anyone opposed? It's unanimous. And now we're going to open the public hearing on a resolution to close a portion of an alleyway off Wadsworth Place. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers? All right.
Move to approve A and B.
Thank you, Mr. Driggs. Our next speaker, we're now going to open the public hearing on a resolution to close a portion of right-of-way off.
May we have to, do we have a
We
second
didn't get
to
a
the
vote.
motion?
We have a motion?
We did, second.
And a
All right,
second?
we need to
All
vote.
in favor?
There we go.
All right, thank you. Let's go ahead and do that again, all over again. Here we go. Do we have anyone that would like to comment on this? On the speak, okay. Do we have a motion?
For 9?
We're on item 9.
For 9?
Yes.
Yes, for 9.
Move to approve A and B.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. So all in favor, please raise your hand. All right. We're now going to open public hearing on 2026 general airport revenue bonds and construction period financing. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers? Yes. We have 2 speakers. Can you provide me that information?
Patrick Waterman and Tracy Montrose.
All right, Patrick Waterman. Mr. Waterman?
Good evening, Mayor Lyles, Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell, and members of the Charlotte City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight in support of the Charlotte Douglas International Airport and the thousands of jobs, many held by your constituents, that depend on continued airport investment. My name is Patrick Waterman. I serve as the incoming president of the American Council of Engineering Companies of North Carolina. It's an association representing more than 200 engineering firms across the state engaged in projects that drive economic growth, ensure public safety, and protect our quality of life. Approval of these general airport revenue bonds help provide capital program that delivers not only essential infrastructure, but sustained employment for engineers, designers, surveyors, environmental specialists, construction managers, and skilled trades from across the Charlotte region. While tonight's vote may not be controversial, it is consequential. These bonds fund projects that put people to work on the airport campus well beyond the fence line. CLT's capital program depends on the depth and expertise of North Carolina-based engineering, construction firms that strengthen the state's national reputation and keeping this work and these paychecks local. ACEC strongly supports policies that advance infrastructure investment while promoting quality, innovation, and professional excellence. We believe this bond request is a result of strong collaboration among the city, airport leadership, airline partners, and the private engineering sector. That collaboration translates directly into employment for local residents. Thank you for your consideration of the broader impact that CLT Airport has on our region and its workforce. Thank you again.
I don't know if we need to say who you are, but if you'd like to be
happy to introduce myself, and good evening, everyone. My name is Tracy Montross. I'm Managing Director of Government Affairs for American Airlines, and very pleased to be with you, Mayor and members of Council. This month, American Airlines proudly celebrated its centennial anniversary, 100 years of connecting people, communities, and economies, and few places reflect that better than the legacy here in Charlotte. For more than 40 years, American has invested steadily, not speculatively, in Charlotte Douglas International Airport, aligning infrastructure growth with demand, operational needs, and the long-term success of the hub. City Council's approval of the 2026 General Airport Revenue Bonds reinforces that same long-term vision. Supporting CLT is one of the region's most powerful economic engines, with an airline hub that supports 150,000 jobs statewide and $30 billion in economic impact. Importantly, airport revenue bonds are not backed by local taxpayers. They are repaid through airline rates and charges and airport-generated revenues. As the largest airline at CLT, American assumes the majority airline share of these costs, reinvesting in the infrastructure necessary to sustain long-term operations. In other words, airline commitment enables large-scale investment in your airport. Over the past decade alone, American has supported more than $3 billion in capital through the Destination CLT program, with an expanded terminal lobby, fourth parallel runway, new concourses, and significant airfield and terminal improvements. These multi-year investments depend on predictable airline revenue, stable policy, and growing passenger demand. A strong primary airline partner enables an airport to finance infrastructure at investment-grade terms, and that financing depends on an anchor airline's willingness to assume long-term financial responsibility, coupled with restraint in future expansion, an approach American has demonstrated throughout its century of service. In conclusion, American Airlines investment is a great deal for the city of Charlotte. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Move to approve A, B, and C.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to close A, B, and C. Do you have it in front of you, or does everybody have that? So any Any comments? All in favor? All right. All in favor, all in favor, thank you very much. And so we have unanimous support. Any other questions before we go into that? So all in favor?
Oh, we've done it, we're good.
We just did. Done. Thank you very much. Okay.
Any opposed?
You haven't, I'm sorry, I looked and I thought I had a, is there anyone that is in opposition? Okay. Sorry, you said unanimous, right?
Yeah, it was
Okay,
unanimous.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much, guys, thank you for that. And we really appropriate on this one. So now, let's go on to the next item, which is, we'll now move into the business section that includes adopt a resolution authorizing the donation of 139.
City manager report. You have an outstanding report, don't you?
I think it's called outstanding, or at least there, so.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Earlier today, you received, I believe in your offices, the impact report as it relates to the Mobility Plus. And what's so important about this is that the team has been working for the better part of 9 months for us to get a better understanding of what are the gaps that are out there. So we have this $25 billion opportunity for our region over the next, well, the entire state, over the next 30 years. But we need to get a better understanding of, do we have the workforce that's available to meet the demand? And do we have the businesses that are locally available to meet the demand? So in both cases, we don't. But that doesn't mean that we haven't already begun to look at programs that can scale up the workforce and scale up businesses. This will be in the Jobs and Economic Development Committee next Monday. What I wanted to do again is to basically, one, get it to you first, because we have the towns, the county, the CELC, the Alliance, the MPTA, that's all waiting for this report. So I'll take one step back. As you recall, 40% of the 1% sales tax is for transit, 20% is for bus. That's going to make its way to the MPTA. There was a question earlier today. Beginning July 1, the MPTA is receiving the sales tax, both the half cent and the 1% sales tax. But they won't be ready to take on our staff until January 1, 2027. So we have this great opportunity to use this report to see how we can make sure that not just, in many of the questions that happened earlier tonight about CBI, how do we have different businesses that can participate in this. That's why this gap analysis is so important. And again, it starts with the council, but I'm very proud of the team and how you've worked so diligently to pull this all together. It's a lot of data, but it's going to be useful as we tackle this opportunity. So that's the end of my report, Mayor.
All right, any questions about the report? Yes, Ms. Mayo.
I had a quick question. Just based on some of the comments we received today about noise in Uptown, and I saw a referral for that. Do we know when that's coming through? Would that be part of this mobility plan? As we're thinking about red light cameras, can that be kind of instituted at the same time with mobility dollars with the PAVE Act?
So I'll start by saying the red light cameras have already been referred to committee.
Yeah, but can we
It's on
refer
the
this other
agenda
one as
for
well?
next Monday. And I believe later tonight, there's going to be a discussion about the noise.
Oh, okay, thank you. I saw the memo. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. So you got a cheerleading squad up here, so.
Thank you.
All right, so now we will move into 12.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Oh, yes, Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before we move on from the manager's report, I just want to ask a question around process and execution. So beginning July 1, the MPTA will receive the penny sales tax, the 60% and the half penny sales tax. But they won't be in operation mode for another 6 months, right?
Right.
Okay, so during that time, do we have insight as to the activities that they will be working on and investing in between July 1 and January 1, where I'm assuming their readiness level will be 100% for receipt of our city assets. Do we know what they're working on over the next 6 months?
So that's a great question, and City Attorney, if I fumble, help me out, please, okay? So there are certain requirements in the payback that must be met by July 1. That's exactly what the authority is working on now. I would say hand in hand with the city and the authority. We feel comfortable that they will meet those targets, okay? In a perfect world, they would have assumed the staff and the Article 43 and Article 34 on July 1. We all know that we won't be ready for those other components of it. And we've always said employees first, right? And so there's certain things just from an employee perspective, like healthcare, that is much better to be on a calendar year than on a fiscal year. So a lot of the thought process with employees first is let's make sure that we have this transition in such a way that helps them, but also let's make sure we set the authority up for success as we also protect the city.
Thank you for that update. And, my interest in this is just professionally having done a lot of cutovers for systems and large system integrations throughout my career. To be able to take on these assets as well as the systems and the backbone effectively that's going to run the MPTA operationally, it's a huge and onerous task to level up your readiness. So I just would love for us, for our responsibility, for our appointment to the trustees, and in a good faith measure of just being good intergovernmental partners, if there's a way that in which we, the council, can get a steady cadence of an update of the readiness between July 1 and January 1, I think that will be very helpful for us to understand what's in front of us and if we have to pivot in any way, shape, or form. So a regular cadence of an update, whether it manifests through a written report or perhaps having the chair or as one of the trustees come and provide an update. But I think that level of communication will be very helpful to us and to our residents.
And I totally agree. I think, and we will do that. One thing that's really important, this is not a July 1, 2026, we're finished, or January 1, 2027, we're finished. This will be decades, because there are assets that still have debt associated with them. So we're going to have to be in lockstep for a very long time.
Thank you.
Could I want to mention as well, we do have a working group consisting of myself and Councilmember Owens and Dr. Watlington, and our job is to be briefed on the meetings, for example, that are taking place between the staff and the MPTA board, and preview, like look as far into the future as possible and keep council up to speed on what is being discussed and what might be headed our way in terms of a decision. So we're never in a position of being asked to vote on something without having had a long runway to think about it.
Thank you, Mr. Driggs, and I appreciate that, and perhaps this working group could be the conduit of that level of transparency. I'm not sure if you want to take on the responsibility of updating council on MPTA's work activity, but I'll leave that to your working group. But I do think, nevertheless, whatever vehicle it is, whether it's the working group or whether it's the trustees, a trustee of the MPTA, I believe we need to have a level of transparency and a regular cadence of update as it relates to organization and operational readiness to take on our assets come
Absolutely.
January 1.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Graham?
I concur with that, and I think the update should come from the authority itself. Right, not the working group. So we want to talk directly to the authority, the chairman, the vice chairman, and members of the trustees in terms of what they're doing, when they're doing it, why they're doing it, so we all can have the same information at the same time.
All right, yes, Ms. Mayo.
Just to kind of piggyback off that, can we create a cadence or some kind of expectation? So once a month, they join us at, whatever type of meeting, maybe the Transportation and Planning Committee meeting and do a report out. But I think it's imperative that we actually set in stone when that's going to happen so that it's not, suggestion. I think it needs to be, a direct ask, and not so broad. Is that something we can do? Can we make a motion on that, or I don't know?
If my colleagues, my
Can I
working
make a
group
motion?
colleagues agree, we can make a recommendation based on what we've been told tonight, and that would be part of what we're trying to accomplish, is make sure that communication is as the council wants. So we'll work on that.
Yeah, so, Madam Mayor, may I make a motion on that? Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we ask MPTA to do a briefing at the Transportation and Planning Committee meeting once a month for council members regarding, how things are going, how we're collaborating.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I would just say, do you intend for that to be a board member, a representative, or is it okay if we just have somebody who knows, who works there and knows what's going on to come, or
It should be a board member.
It should be.
a board member, right?
Madam Mayor?
And see if the chair will do it, yeah.
We have another comment down here. I don't know if Mr. Graham was first or if you were, Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would suggest that it's actually either the chair or the vice chair or one of our appointed trustees, again, to create stickiness and a transparent horizontal relationship between the MPTA and the council.
So we need to communicate to that board the desire of this council. We don't have the authority to direct them to do that, but we will communicate to them that we would like to have that update. And
Mr. Graham?
And I think we should stay in constant contact with our appointees, right? And so there needs to be a regular cadence with them, whether it's quarterly or bi-yearly, where we meet with them and share with them our expectations. For an example, we had a presentation talking about the bus stops and whether or not they're going to be sheltered or not. That's something we need to tell our trustees. There is an expectation that there's uniformity throughout the system in reference to bus stops and being protected from the sun, the rain, et cetera. So cadence with our trustees, I think, is extremely important, in addition to Councilmember Anderson, the chair or the vice chairman, so they can have that type of relationship, which is intergovernmental.
Yeah. Oh, so should it be going into intergovernmental? I don't know.
It's already on another track.
So do you want to amend the motion?
No.
Yeah, I wanted to know if there is an amendment to the motion. Is there one?
No,
Okay,
I just-
all right, thank you. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Anyone opposed? I think that was unanimous.
We already had that debate.
That's right. Okay, so now we're at Charlotte Fire Department Protective Vest donation. We'll move to the business section of our agenda for item 12. Is there a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the donation of 139, and I don't know how to say this, Flanex Defense Systems plate carriers to the following entities, guys? Oh, they've gone, so just sorry. Oh, there you guys. So someone knows how to say it well for me, so thank you very much. So for the following entities, Carolina Fire Department, Dallas, Huntersville, Pineville, Steel Creek, West Mecklenburg, and Mecklenburg County Fire.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, next. Our next one is 13, a grant and donation for the Rail Trail Bridge project. For item 13, is there a motion to authorize the manager or his designee to accept a grant in the amount of $2,549 from the Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization, which was just being spoken about, organization for the Interstate 277 Rail Trail Bridge Project, authorizing the city manager or his designee to accept a donation in that amount for $511,000, and from the Queen's Table for the Interstate Rail 277 Rail Trail Bridge Project, and adopting a budget ordinance appropriating the appropriate amount of $549 and $395 from the Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization and $511, and you can all read that
So
yourself.
moved, Madam Mayor. So moved.
All right, all in, do we have a
Move to
motion?
approve A, B, and C.
Favor? I'm sorry. Did someone
Got a
over here
motion.
say?
Move A, B, and C.
Okay.
Anderson and
We
Mayfield.
have an A, B, and C recommendation.
Second.
All
Do we
in
have a
fa-
second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Madam Mayor, can I make a comment?
Yes, comments, yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to make a very quick comment about this project because this project has been in the works for many, many years, and it's actually reconnecting neighborhoods that were divided by an interstate some years ago. We say South End and Uptown, but really and truly, it was the historical African-American neighborhood of Brooklyn that was really separated from the other part of our city. And I had the pleasure of going to an event last October, where we kicked off this project and worked with other partners, community partners who are investing in it. But it's a really lovely bridge. It's a multi-use pedestrian crossing for families to walk and bike and use other mechanical pedestrian devices as well. It connects over 40 miles of bikeways into the center city, and so it's a very safe way for cyclists to get into the center city. And it's going to be a very beautiful design with the double arches reaching over 40 feet. And it will be the widest part of the rail trail, so it'll be able to deal with the capacity of the rail trail in addition to pedestrians trying to connect with both neighborhoods. So very happy to see this project advance. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. All right, is there anyone who objects? No one objects. So then, let's go to our next item, which is accept a grant in the amount of $1,200,000 from the North Carolina Forest Service for tree maintenance and planting, and adopt a budget ordinance appropriating that same amount in grant funds from the North Carolina Forest Service to the Neighborhood Development Grants Fund. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve A and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any conversation or any questions?
I do.
All right.
Ms.
Ms.
Tree.
Mayo?
Yeah, very true. I just had a quick question for this. Is this going to be street trees with this maintenance? Or are they planning to do on public property as well? I know at one point we had received some funding from the federal government, but because of our current administration, things did not go as planned. So just wanting a little bit more clarity on, is this going to be on street trees, which are owned by the city of Charlotte, or is this going to be on private property?
All right, Phil, you want to?
Good evening, Phil Rieger, Department of General Services Director. This particular grant is designated for city-owned trees in the right-of-way.
All right.
So we will be working in underutilized areas that need street tree maintenance in the right-of-way.
All right. Yes.
So when you say underserved communities, are you looking at data for that, being thoughtful of equity? But are you also doing under-canopied regions as well? So I guess I'm wanting to know how you're designating some of those, because I think we should also think through not only underserved, but also areas that have historically lower canopy than some of their more affluent peers. So just wanting to think through both of those, because that can be a huge barrier for some of our most vulnerable residents, taking care of trees, even though, they are the city's trees that you're talking about. Many of our residents are still are burdened by those.
It's a great question. The map of underserved areas is defined by the state, and so we're using that map that they use to define those areas in the city.
Are you also taking into consideration based on which areas historically have a lower tree canopy? So are you doing both? Are you doing underserved and under canopied?
This is really about the canopy that we have today to ensure that we have quality maintenance in those areas. Again, those areas are defined by the State Forest Service. And so in the event that we have to remove a tree, you'll notice that part of this funding is to replant trees.
I can just talk to you later. Yeah. No worries. Yeah, I'll just follow up a little later. Thank you.
All right, so is there any other question? Any other comments? All in favor of the motion?
Sorry. Can I ask one more question?
Yes, you certainly can.
Sorry. Sorry. When you talked about replacing trees, are you planning to water those new trees at all?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's going to be in y'all's budget to water the trees?
Yeah, that's a part of our planting program.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, all in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Anyone opposed? I don't see anyone, so let's see, we'll keep going and go to the next item, which is item 16, an interlocal agreement for I'm sorry, 15.
Smithville.
I'm trying to get us going. All right, on 15, there's a motion to a resolution ratifying the Urban Cost Share Program Agreement with Mecklenburg Soil and Water Conservation District.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor, raise your hands. Anyone opposed? Okay, so that passes. So the next item is 16, and adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager or his designee to negotiate and execute an interlocal agreement with the town of Cornelius to execute the Smithfield Water System Improvements Project. Authorize the city manager to approve the reimbursements request for the actual costs of the utility construction.
Move to approve A and B.
We have a motion for A and B, and we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And so that passes. So let's go to the next item. So item 17, is there a motion to adopt the Housing and Community Development Proposed Fiscal Year 2027 Annual Action Plan?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor, please raise your hand. Anyone opposed? Let's see, no, we don't have any opposition.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Okay, so on the next item is item 18, and I want to recognize Ms. Mayfield.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am motioning to, A, approve up to $20,617,000 in Housing Trust Fund allocations for the following affordable housing developments contingent upon their receiving a low-income housing tax credit award from the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, where applicable. The Village at Greer Heights for $2,763,000, which is a 9% low-income tax credit in Council District 1. Oak Valley Family for $1,500,000, which is a 4% low-income housing tax credit, also in Council District 1. Mineral Springs Commons 2, for $1,100,000, which is a 9% low-income tax housing credit in Council District 4. River District 2 for $5,600,000, which is a 4% low-income housing tax credit in Council District 3. Billingsley Home Ownership, $1,050,000, which is a home ownership in Council District 1. Oakdale Road for $2,930,000, which is also a home ownership, which is in Council District 2. Legacy at Park Creek, $1,334,000, home ownership in Council District 2. Hovis Road, $780,000, home ownership in Council District 2. South Kriegler Duets, $360,000, home ownership, also in Council District 2. Abilene at Prosperity Church, $800,000, home ownership in Council District 1. Zion Hills, $1,000,000, home ownership in Council District 5. Wisteria Drive, $1,400,000, home ownership in Council District 6, as well as B, approve up to $300,000 in federal fund allocations for the Village at Greer Heights 9% low-income housing tax credit, multifamily affordable housing development, which is in Council District 1, and C, authorize the city manager or his designee to execute, amend, modify, and renew contracts and other required documents to complete the transactions.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor, and Ms. Mayfield has given you the information, and if everybody has it, so let's see how all, Ms.
We have a motion and a second.
Ms. Anderson, I know, Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just trying to do an alignment here of what's in front of us and what's on our RCA. It appears that the Evoke Living at Laura Lake was not a part of your motion.
Correct.
But it is a part of our RCA here, correct? And it also appears that River District 2, which was not brought forward the last time we discussed this as being an approved project, but now it's on, you're motioning that it be on the approved
Correct.
list? Okay, can we have some further discussion about that? Because it sounds like we have scratched one and brought in another. And I've had some conversations with some of my colleagues. I was of the understanding that if we were going to advance something, that we would advance both. So I'd like
So
for
that
that
was,
further.
That's another
so
motion.
for clarification, Mayor, if it's a question sent to my motion, of which I sent out a very detailed email to all of council last week. So for clarification, the committee has not had a conversation regarding any reallocation of particular funds, yet for one of the projects, it was mentioned on more than one occasion as presentations were made that they will attempt 2 rounds of funding through our Housing Trust Fund. This is one of 2. It will feasibly be accessible for them to be a part of that second round. Committee did have an additional conversation last week, but we are also working towards our ad hoc. Instead of creating a whole separate committee for ad hoc, we are going to utilize the membership of the committee and add additional meetings so that we can actually drill down what funding do we have still available in our Housing Trust Fund, under what line item, as well as if there are any considerations for reallocation of funds. As a committee, we will be able to have that discussion. The reason my recommendation and the reason that I sent an extremely detailed email to all of council last week is because with the opportunity of the River District, with all of the development and growth that is happening throughout the city, as well as the investments that are happening at the River District, this is an opportunity to ensure that we have 2 projects that come out very close to each other, as well as the potential impact of River District not going towards the initial goals from 2017, where the expectation was to create and support an entire new community that would have true diverse price point housing in it, both in multifamily and in single family. Right now, this project, for my recommendation, and I have talked to a number of our council colleagues as well, which is why what is presented tonight is the clear, it basically is not trying to allocate additional funds because we had 3 other projects that were recommended for deferral. This is versus a swap. At the end of the day, this is pretty much a swap of versus recommending one to be deferred to the second round, one that representatives acknowledge that we will attempt up to 2 rounds, making a recommendation that they are then brought forward in the second round. So we have a motion and a second on it. The River District is a project that will address a lot of the concerns in a part of the city that is being developed, that is already seeing incredible growth and already seeing price ranges that are above market or at the current market rate, whereas this will help us to ensure that we have some diversity in our product for our workers that live out in the area, and aligns with the city's goals and commitments and the infrastructure investments that we have made into that project going back to 2017.
I want to recognize Mr. Graham, followed by Ms. Ashmira.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Mayfield, for the email and the conversation that we had earlier today, but I see it a little different. Certainly, I clearly understand why we need to support what's happening in the River District, and I support that wholeheartedly, but it shouldn't be at the expense of Evoke Living. And is there a way for us to do both, right? And
There is.
and I think we should. And even if it's a reallocation of some of the buckets, I think one of the things that the council has to maintain is a level of flexibility in reference to how we utilize the dollars. Also, we're getting ready to get really deep in our budget in May and approval in June. And hopefully there'll be a bond referendum in November, which will replenish all three buckets for the community. So I hope, and I'll be willing to second a motion, make a motion that we find a way tonight to fund both projects. And then I think.
So is that a substitute motion?
That would be a substitute motion.
All right, we have a substitute motion on the floor.
Second.
We have a second for that motion, but we have several people that want to address this issue. So I'm going to start off with Ms. Ashmira, followed by Ms. Watlington, and then Ms. Mayo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, thank you to the committee chair, Councilmember Mayfield, for the detailed email where she explains what they are saying. They are not saying no to. I just want to make sure. So the committee did not say no to the Evoke Living at Willora Lake. All they are saying is defer it to the next round. So the committee gets to do the work. We talk about the process and process and process. Well, this is the process that committee is recommending because they came up with the allocation. So let's not talk about the process if you're not going to stick with the process. Because the committee came up with the allocation, from what I understood, based on your email, and having this proposal be part of the second round of discussion that the committee will further discuss. So correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yes.
That's correct, okay. And then also I want to speak in favor of the River District proposal. We all got an email from OneMac, and they're making solid point about why we need to ensure that we include River District in our decision tonight, because we don't want River District to end up like what we are seeing in Ballantyne. So
We love Valentine.
I will support the committee's work, and I will support the motion that the chair has made. That's all I have.
All right, Ms. Watlington?
Thank you. Listening to this and in discussions previously with my colleagues, I definitely see a couple of different sides. Having served as the chair of the Housing Safety and Community Committee and a part of the subgroup with Councilmembers Mayfield and Driggs on allocating the $100 million, it was very intentional, the allocations that we set up to drive particular behaviors in our development community. The Innovation Fund in particular was set aside specifically to try to drive new ideas, and I do think that is still important. I do think, given the rigor with which we set those targets, that if we're going to make adjustments, which we did say that we would maintain that flexibility. If we're going to make those adjustments, I think we need to give that conversation its just due, rather than making the adjustments here at the dais, because as I understand it, there may be a couple of other strategic projects that we feel like are still adding value. So I'm absolutely supportive of the River District and do want to see that move forward in this round. Just listening to the comments at the dais, I'm wondering if there is an appetite at all, since committee meeting is next week, to have the policy discussion there and then come back May 11th to actually vote on the updated list of projects. I just don't want us to be making project decisions here without considering how that impacts the overall policy. And I'd love to hear from the chair or others as to how they feel about that.
I don't want to make a commitment on that with how soon they'll come back, because I do know that we all got an email earlier that we're getting ready to have some changes within the housing and neighborhood services. So also want to make sure that what we have on the calendar is in alignment. Yet, at the same time, we are prepared to have the detailed conversation with the ad hoc and identifying specific meetings to add for that. But I will double check with Mike and the team while y'all continue discussing.
Okay, so then depending the answers to those questions, I would ask if you would accept a friendly amendment to defer, since the substitute motion is already on the floor. But we can wait until the answers. It may not be.
Yeah, and probably not, right? I think we, even more reason, if there's going to be leadership change, that we make a decision sooner than later. And it's really whether or not we're going to utilize additional resources from one bucket to the next, right? And one of the things that you said when you established the 3 buckets was a level of flexibility, right? And so I think this demonstrates some flexibility, kind of going where the shovel-ready projects are, and letting the dollars follow that, notwithstanding the good work you and the committee did in terms of setting the 3 priorities, right? And so I just think, we should move forward with it, but I'll listen to more members and comments.
All right, so
She has an update.
Ms. Mayo,
No,
Ms. Mayo is next.
Yeah, I mean, I would support Victoria's amendment.
So that's an amendment to the amendment.
Yeah, to potentially defer, and we have that conversation in our committee
We have a
potentially.
substitute motion.
Oh, substitute.
We
Okay.
have a substitute motion.
on the floor.
It has to be voted on.
Oh,
You didn't.
Well, point of
there
order.
was no second.
Was Councilmember Mayo the second?
Guys, I just want to make sure, Andrea, would you help
Oh, I
us?
thought we were just having discussion.
We have a
On the substitute
motion
motion.
on the floor. Substitute motion.
Substitute motion made by Mr. Graham.
Mr. Graham.
Mr. Graham, and seconded by Ms. Anderson.
Yeah,
Yep.
correct. And they won't accept it.
So that's what we're discussing right now, is the substitute motion
Right,
that we haven't voted on.
that's right.
Oh, I thought she was saying that. I'm
All right, I think Ms. Mayo was,
She was
and Ms.
agreeable to what I was
Watlington.
saying, but we would
So-
vote on the substitute motion as is,
Oh,
because the
okay.
amendment was not accepted.
So there's discussion on the I'm sorry. So there's discussion on the substitute motion at this point around the dais, and then there needs to be a vote on the substitute motion. And then after that, depending on how that vote turns out, we'll revert back to the original motion.
And then we could amend the
So where we are,
So on the substitute motion.
we're going to have the substitute motion, and now, Mr.
She shows me no.
No, that's not true. That is not true. So,
So, Mayor and Council, thank you. Rebecca, if you don't mind, because I do think one issue for all of us is the funding level, how much we have remaining.
She has something. Rebecca, come up.
So, Mayor, I'm sorry, before.
Is this reference to motion, to the
Yes.
substitute motion?
Substitute
Yes,
motion.
because Councilman Graham is trying to do both. And so I think for a lot of us around the table who are not on the Housing Committee is how much funding could be remain in that bucket. Because I'm like him, I wish we can vote tonight. Since we got worried about your new opportunity.
Can I jump in?
I just think that
Now
this
I
is
get
great, but
what you expected me to say under my manager's report. I was waiting till the end. Okay. So, before Rebecca addresses the question, I'd like to just announce 3 things. One,
It should have been in your manager. Oh, excuse me, sir.
just 3.
Is this in reference to the amendment?
I'm just saying that
Okay.
they're talking about her. The people, I can't bring it up.
Yeah, they don't want you to.
oh, no, yes, you.
Move to suspend the rules.
Wait.
Go, keep going.
What's your manager's report?
Let's focus. We'll come back.
Close out this vote.
All right, we still have to have this motion and decide, make a determination on it.
That's nothing to do with what
So Rebecca, if you don't mind, to sharing the balance, and then if we include River District with the committee and staff recommendation, where would that leave us?
Sure.
Well, let's be clear. The motion what I motioned was very specific.
Yes.
The amended motion was adding in what I did not
Right.
say, so that dollar amount has to be added in, so that motion has to be clarified just a little bit to say to add additional $5,850,000. So from there, Rebecca.
Yeah, I'm doing some quick math up
Yeah.
here. Good evening, Rebecca Hefner, Director of Housing and Neighborhood Services. So I think there's two balances to discuss. One is the balance as, or three. As written on the agenda, the balance remaining would be $14,281,000 and some change. The balance remaining after the motion that Councilmember Mayfield made would be $14.5 million. And if you made the third motion with both River District and with Laurel Lake, the balance would be $8.68 million. And that's overall across all the categories in the Housing Trust Fund.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Ms. Mayfield?
So for clarification, if we were to do both, that total of 8.68 million, 5 million of that is what we currently have. So this will be, if we were to move forward, just looking at rental opportunity, I want to make sure that everyone's clear where that potential 8.68 million lies.
So
and I want to make sure that I'm not inaccurate as far as having to potentially have a conversation of reallocating a line item that we have not had a discussion about.
Sure. So if you're following the action as written in the agenda, so I'm going back now to the action preview presentation, the Housing Trust Fund forecast. That's the balance would be 14.28 million. The places where funding would remain are home ownership category, 2.7, supportive housing and shelter, 2.75. There would be $1 million remaining in housing rehab, $5 million in the Innovation Pilot Fund, and $2.6 million in site acquisition, and just a little bit of change, about $200K in administration and evaluation.
Thank you.
All right, so,
Did y'all,
Dimple.
did y'all
Dimple,
hear that?
Ms. Ashmere.
Or were we lobbying votes?
So, Rebecca, you gave us 8.6 million. That would be the balance if we approved the motion made by Councilmember Graham, correct?
Correct.
Totality.
Huh?
In totality.
Yeah, in totality. Are there any projects in the pipeline right now?
So there are, you mean for those other categories?
For that $8.6 million balance?
So-
Because it's in totality. So what I'm trying to get to is how many projects are in the pipeline? Because we are not looking at it holistically by trying to make a decision here, right? Because the committee is not able to do the work. So I'm trying to figure out if you're going to have to make a decision, what are the projects that are in the pipeline that we should be looking at from the holistic perspective?
Well, you have several other projects in the rental housing production category that were recommended for deferral. So that being, let me make sure I'm giving you all of the right names. Nevin Trace, and the Greer Reserves, and in addition to River District, which were recommended for deferral, the modular home and ADU development under the innovation category that was also recommended for deferral. And you have received 2 applications in your rental housing preservation category, 2 NOAA developments that are going to be discussed by Council Committee on May 4th. You have already exhausted funding in that category, but those submissions came in before those funds funds were exhausted. So those will be discussed in Housing Committee on May 4th.
Thank you. So personally, I'm not in position to decide now because considering that there are multiple projects in the pipeline and what happens if we were to approve this and then one of the other projects that might be higher on the priority list, we would be doing in service to that. So I would prefer us sending it back to the committee so they can look at it holistically and provide recommendations for the council. That's all I have.
Thank you.
And, actually, before, I know that we asked Councilmember Mayfield to check in with the staff on the May 11th timeline. If we can just get a response to that.
The answer to that question, Rebecca did respond to. Rebecca, if you would like to.
So if these decisions were deferred until May 11th, all of the developments would still be able to move forward on their timelines. The important date that drives the spring RFP schedule is the deadline for tax credit applications with the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, which is May 15th. And so you would have an opportunity on May 11th, but that would be the deadline for a decision in order to support the applications to the state.
Thank you.
And Mayor, for clarification.
Okay.
As the chair, I'm following up on what my director just said.
It's not your turn to speak, please.
Hey, guys,
respect
over
the
here,
council.
Mr. Driggs was next
I mean,
on the.
Guys, I
Mr.
haven't said
Driggs.
anything yet. You've been at it the whole
Go
time.
ahead, Ed.
I just want to know, do we have anything in the pipeline for the Innovation $5 million? Are we going to arrive at the end of the year not having actually invested that as intended, and therefore should we be thinking about the fact that it can be available because it's not likely to be used?
We got the
Thank you.
Innovation Summit.
So staff have been in conversation with a couple of developers who have ideas and concepts for that innovation pilot fund, but have not provided any date on which they might be able to put in an application.
So not this year.
All right. Ms. Watlington?
Thank you. Just a couple of things. Just on the innovation, I know that, I know we've had a little bit of a connection as it relates to some of the projects, or at least one of the projects that is in the Innovation Fund. I want us to be careful to remember that we don't see the future. We're in April of 2026, and the Innovation Fund's intent was to do something a little bit different. So I don't expect that that whatever comes through at this point has the level of rigor to know what their schedule is going to be by the end of the year. So that is less concerning for me because we plan to do another round. I think by then we would know whether or not we would want to pivot. And I certainly think that if we have this discussion in a week, we can have these discussions in a better way. I think this right here is an exact example of what we're seeing play out in broader discussions at transportation and other things where we are making decisions before we really have a robust discussion around our values and how that shows up in policy. So I would implore us, rather than rushing a decision today, now that we've learned that we have 2 weeks and we can take this to committee and have a responsible discussion about this, considering the projects that are in the pipeline, I would just ask again to please consider to amend the motion so that we can do right by our people. Like, I get it, you got your 6 and you can go there, but let's do better if possible.
So how do we do
Mr. Mitchell?
that?
No, I was just saying, Mayor, I think everyone is talking. We ready for the vote? Call for the, I'm sorry.
Ms. Mayfield?
Clarification. Thank you, Mayor. So I also want to make sure that everyone remembers that we have an Innovation Summit that the city is one of the partners of, that is identified and bringing people all across the nation. So that's one of the triggers for that particular bucket, of which we were made aware of that when we first had our conversation regarding our innovation bucket, that we were going to win, and that summit was going to be hosted in Charlotte because it moves around. The other piece that I want us to keep in mind is, as Director Heffernan just mentioned, that will be a 3-day window. So between when we have our meeting on the 11th and the closing being on the 15th. the recommendation that I proposed is the recommendation that I stand by. So we do have another round that's coming, but I do believe that committee should have the opportunity to have a deeper conversation about the possible reallocation of funds, because as was heard, if we move forward with the amended recommendation tonight, that potentially would give us 8.68 million in totality, which is really 3 million and some change, because 5 million of it is already identified. Really less than that, because 2.6 million is allocated for site acquisition. The 5 million is in the innovation bucket, and we have, what do we say, about 200,000 or so that's still in administrative, so it's not really 8 million that potentially would be accessible, and we do know that there's more projects that are coming forward. That is why I read it the way that I read it. So I'm still, even though we're on the amendment that we need to vote on, I am going to ask, the votes are going to land the way that they land. We're either going to get the votes on the amended version, but what I am standing by is the recommendation that I read and that we got a second on.
With the addition, right? I want to make sure that we have the right, I believe Ms. Mayfield's program that was sent around, and then it was a question of an additional for the,
Substitute.
the
Substitute motion.
substitute for, to go into the, Mr. Graham. So we have two items on on our list, and so help me.
Substitute motion should be voted
Substitute
upon
motion.
first.
Oh, Councilmember Martinez,
We need to vote on the substitute motion.
Yes, we need to vote on the substitute motion first.
and that's what he was speaking to, Mayor.
He was saying,
We didn't identify that.
I would like to speak.
We had another
you
council
have not
comment.
spoken?
I have not
All
spoken.
right, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I agree with my colleague, Councilmember Ashmira, that if we're going to respect the process, let's respect the process, but also understanding where Dr. Wallington is coming from. I mean, I think to surpass committee and go against what the recommendation of what the chair is saying goes against the process of us having our committees. Additionally, I think if we're going to support both projects as Councilmember Graham has motioned for, then we should support the other 2-3 projects that were deferred, because then we're giving preference to one project over the other. And so I would pump the brakes and think about what we're doing very wisely right here, and what precedent it puts forward when it comes to the role of committees and committee leadership in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we have, everyone has got the information. We're going to look at this and see which one. We're going to go for the
Vote on the
substitute
substitute
motion.
motion
So
first.
everyone that would support the substitute motion submitted by Mr. Graham, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You meant 6.
I'm not done.
I'm sorry, did I get a good count?
That's crazy.
That's 6.
6.
So it's approved. All opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. So the new motion is.
So it's approved.
It's approved.
Substitute motion is approved.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I was saying the substitute motion is approved.
Yeah, the substitute motion has been approved. All right, thank you. All right. Item 19, is there a motion to adopt a resolution approving the sale of the following city-owned properties to Habitat for Humanity of the Charlotte region for $1 for the development of affordable for-sale housing units? And these are the locations, 7.
Move to approve and adopt A and B.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve and adopt item 19. All in favor, is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, that passes.
Mayor, may I? Pastor Moss
Yes.
and Chappelle, thank you all
Thank you.
for being here and for your project. So,
Thank you. Good deal. All right, so item 20 is adopt a motion to approve the termination agreement with the Transit Governance Interlocal Agreement and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute all documents necessary to complete the termination agreement for the Transit Governance Interlocal Agreement. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve A and B.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, all right, that passes. Okay, thank you.
Wait a minute.
Mayor and council topics.
I move that we let the
We're going to go into
manager,
closed session first, please.
would the manager please resume his report and perhaps address an important topic?
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Dr. Stewart, don't go anywhere.
Rebecca?
Okay, so, Mayor and Council, I do have 3 announcements today, and I'm going to start with the toughest one, is that after 30-plus years of service for the city of Charlotte, our Deputy City Manager, Liz Babson, is retiring.
This authority.
I think Liz represents, I guess, what I would call grit. She could have left a couple of years ago, but there were some really special things going on, like buying a railroad, right, and Mobility Plus. And so, Liz, thank you for that extra time with us. I don't think we could have done it without you. We appreciate you. And the pipeline is so strong with the city. And so we're going to have a little bit of an overlap. And so for the listening public, folks were wondering with Rebecca Hefner about her future role, which would be Deputy City Manager. But she wore her housing director hat tonight. She wore it well. So we appreciate Rebecca. But then Rebecca did such a good job with Housing and Neighborhood Services that Dr. Rakeshla Stewart will now be the new Director of Housing and Neighborhood Services. And they've done such a great job in that pipeline. I'm sure that you'll hear more announcements soon. And so that's a lot going on, but very proud of the team, a lot to do. But again, it's really refreshing that when you can go in-house with this level of talent, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's very nice to have that kind of changes. Ms. Mayfield, did you want to?
Mayor, are we going to go to council topics before we go into closed session?
Well, let's see. I think that someone suggested going into closed session.
Then we never get to council topics if we.
Okay.
Well,
We'll go after.
So we'll
Stick
do
with
this.
the
So let's go ahead and get this. Before we start with council topics, I want to address 2 topics that are being discussed among the council and in the public, data centers for being one, and I-77 South being another. There's been a lot of discussion about data centers. I think Ms. Ashmira had put this in front of this, and I think we do not have the information right now to say what is their impact that she's raised, what should council do about them she's raised, and all of these issues have come up, and we know that this is an important discussion, not just in our community, but across the country. You cannot turn on the TV without seeing some of that around. But we were told at our last business meeting, staff was researching the data center impacts, including meeting with other municipalities to see what they've done. Staff will have additional information to share with the council in the next 3 to 6 months. Council could potentially address land use changes through the UDO text amendment process. And I know that several council members want to have a discussion sooner than later. And I've talked to the manager, and we will be placing data centers on the May 11 council meeting agenda as a discussion topic. All right, does that cover that? So thank you very much for bringing that up, Ms. Ashmira. Another important topic is the I-77 South expansion. There's a lot of passion about this topic. We know council members have had a lot of conversations about how to move forward. Personally, I believe issuing the RFP is the right thing to do, but I also know that many council members want to have a resolution to provide protection for our residents. I would like council to work together so we can work on a resolution at our May 11 council meeting, and I'm prepared to add that on the May agenda should council want to take up a resolution at that time. So I'd like to start with that information for you, and what I know that many of us have been around each of these issues or both of these issues, and that we want to do it well and we want to get it right. And so by doing this, I do believe that if we continue to work together and build this up, that we will be able to do that and make that possible for all of us. So with that, council topics, all of you who are still with us today, we appreciate you so very much coming in and being a part of what I think is building community. And so as we're doing this, we are going to begin to think about another part of our meeting, where we have a closed session. And we are glad that you are here, but you may want to go home at some point.
Yeah.
So with that,
I still have a council topic, man.
I know we're going to go back, but we're going to have council topics right away. And so we're going to do that, but don't we do those we're going to do them here.
Oh, yeah.
All right?
In front of the
This is
public
where
while
you
they're still here.
explained all of the ironies that we have in our life. So, okay, let's start off. Let's see, we'll go around the dais. Who would like to start? This is Miss Edgemere. We go around the dais like this, Miss Edgemere.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, let me say thank you for elevating data centers issue to our May 11th council agenda. First, I want to thank Councilmember Mayfield, Johnson, and Masura Arias for their strong advocacy on this issue. I remember Councilmember Mayfield back in 2023, she did sound an alarm. We were just a little late to the party, but here we are. Over the past several weeks, I have had an opportunity to speak with most of you about data centers and the concerns we are hearing from residents. So I know that it's going to be on our agenda on May 11th, but my motion is specific to ensuring that we have the hearing. So I'm going to pass this on. It's pretty much, if you read the attorney's memo, and if you looked at the email that I had sent, a follow-up email, I talked about this issue being, it requires our urgent and immediate attention, because currently data centers are allowed by right in multiple zoning districts. And thanks to attorney for sending out that memo, because under our current UDO, commercial districts, industrial districts, research campuses, mixed use areas, and even uptown core. So data centers are allowed by right, and that means these projects can currently move forward quickly without our approval. So we have a full opportunity to evaluate the long-term impact on our water supply, on our electricity grid, on our neighborhoods, our environment, and our taxpayers. So currently, this feels like Wild West right now, and we need some guardrails in place. So May 11th, it's great that we can have a discussion, but what I would like to see is an action. Because other municipalities, especially across the state, and I think Councilmember Mayfield raised that issue in her email, have already passed ordinances and guardrails around data centers. We have one of the best planning staff, not just in the state, but in the nation, and I feel like we are not leading on this issue. We need to take an action now, where taking action means even considering a temporary moratorium so we can study the impacts and ensure that we have guardrails in place to protect our communities. So in order to stop the bleeding now, because there is already 2.5 million square feet data center going up in the university area, and so many of us have already gotten emails. There is one being proposed in East Charlotte, and I'm sure there are more that's coming up by right. So in order to stop the bleeding, we need to consider a pause and make sure that we have protection in place, especially for our water and our electricity grid. So with that, I move to place a public hearing on the City Council's May 11th business agenda to consider whether a temporary moratorium on new data center approvals is necessary while we fully evaluate their impacts. So you'll see there are 4 items that I'm looking at: assessing impacts on water supply, because we know that there is already an advisory out there to conserve water. So if you don't have guardrails around conserving water for these facilities that can use millions of gallons a day, we are going to be behind in protecting our natural resources. Also, energy demand. We know that these facilities can use tens of thousands of homes' electricity. So we need to make sure that there are guardrails in place around generating their own power or having some sort of solar systems in place. And I know Councilmember Owens and I have had that conversation where there can be innovative solutions in place to address that high energy use. Also, we have seen concerns around the noise, environmental quality, and just the quality of life impact. So assessing those impacts, and then second, determining whether we have existing infrastructure constraints, because Charlotte Water, we have conservation measures, and we need to ensure that there is capacity in place to support a legally defensible temporary moratorium. And number 3, we also need to ensure that we are not just putting suggestions, we are putting enforceable mitigation measures that translates into water conservation, cooling systems, reclaimed water use, and so on. And number 4, guidance from our attorney and exemption and analysis for council consideration. And this was based on our attorney's feedback on the legal language that I've come up with this language. So that is my motion on the floor.
Thank you. All right, you've heard the conversation and the discussion. Any further discussion?
We need a
Second.
motion. We need a second.
Second.
Do we have a second to the motion?
No, but this is, I'm asking for a
Discussion.
Any discussion for the second?
So,
Mr.
okay.
Ed Driggs. Mr. Driggs.
I think this is a conversation we need to have. I appreciate the initiative. We can have a hearing in the near term, but I think it will take a little time for us to come to grips with all of the issues here, the public need, the actual impacts, the noise, the water, and therefore my concern is how long a moratorium are we talking about? Because we do have existing policies that permit these, and if we don't yet have a replacement for those policies and we just shut it down, I would be concerned about how long we do that.
So, may I? Currently, we've been told that.
I think Ms. Anderson was next.
That was actually a question for Ms. Azamira, if you'll allow it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So currently, we are being told by the planning team that it's going to take 3 to 6 months to develop regulations. So here is an example. If staff says, go ahead and use cooling systems, but there are no enforcement standards in place. It's a suggestion. So what we are saying is that till we have guardrails in place, is that we put a temporary moratorium for 90 days so that it gives staff an opportunity to develop regulations and some guardrails to conserve our natural resources, especially our water.
So if I may follow up, Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Driggs.
When we change our policies, otherwise we do so prospectively. And so to slam on the brakes like this, again, I think it's the right thing. I have more of a process concern that we don't know the implications of imposing that moratorium. We don't know what projects are in the pipeline and what availability of those computer resources. So I would just like to be sure I understand all the dimensions of this problem before shutting down data centers for months. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Ajmer, for bringing up the topic. And thank you, Mayor, for already putting it on the agenda, so we do have a space to talk about this. I firmly believe we need to have a robust, holistic conversations about data centers. Data centers already exist in our community in places that we don't even know about, right? And as we've heard this topic sort of gain momentum over the last several weeks, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there that I think we need to have a holistic macro conversations, yes, about impact to neighborhoods, yes, about long-term health impacts, but also impacts to our community, impacts to our long runway as the 14th largest city. You know, we just invested and brought up online the Pearl, which is our first medical center, but also a generator for health tech. And there will be a lot of innovation around that. And we are the second largest banking capital in the nation. And so, and right, wrong, or indifferent, many of us like to use AI, ChatGPT, play games, make little caricature pictures on these supercomputers that we hold that generate a lot of data use. And so I would just like for us to, before we advance anything in terms of policy, let's have a robust conversation. I'd also like to invite some of our partners into that conversation. Duke Energy has a tremendous amount of information on data centers because they support data centers throughout the state. And so having some experts, some subject matter experts come in and give the truth around what we're dealing with and then think about how it will impact our future and our long runway as a city. So I welcome the conversation. I think it should be an S on the end, conversations, before we begin to impact or stand up policy. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So, Mayo?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I agree with Councilmember Driggs. Just wondering if this is something that should be referred to Transportation and Planning Committee, if this is going to be a 3 to 6 month process with maybe having more conversations about this and kind of coming up with policy regarding it. Is that something that I guess there's an appetite for among?
I think there's certainly an appetite for that, but I also want to say that I think what Ms. Anderson said about this is not just something that's one person or one person in a box. This is like going all over, and I really do believe to have some kind of practice that we have before we go into it, dive into it really deeply. We need to get some more information and be really careful about what we are able to accomplish and do. I think that's why moving it up on May is helpful, and I think that makes it a little bit easier because we have some time to look and see who's talking about what and where is it going. And so hopefully I would hope that we could do something just like this in a way that's very much open to the public as well, because I don't think that the public knows it, and we have so many great places, all of our people that are in our colleges and where we're talking about things like that. I think there's a lot of more information, that was a really bad thing to say. But just think about what we could do if we get UNC Charlotte in here and do some of the things that are important to get it a really solid ground foundation. That's what I'm really saying. Thank you, Dante, for doing that. And I've been asked to
Graham and JD.
speak with Graham and JD, but I've also got Ms. Watlington down here. So we'll just, why don't we just do that? Ms. Watlington was next.
Okay, so first of all, where was this holistic energy a couple of motions ago, but
That's
it's fine.
We can talk about that later.
No, but on a serious note, I do think we're talking about two different things or two adjacent things, right? I think there's the figuring out what the right policy is for the long term, which we absolutely have to do. What I'm hearing from this is in the meantime.
Temporary protection.
And so to me, that's kind of two, in the sense of we want to stop the potential harm
That's
while
right.
we figure out what the right thing to do
That's
is.
right.
So I'm willing to entertain that. I do wonder if that's something that needs to go to committee, though, to have that conversation. One that happens a lot earlier, like, I mean, next week is our
Yeah, I
committee
mean,
meeting. So
yeah.
that's a question of, do we want to recommend to council that we do hold off and do a moratorium? And we need to be clear about if that means on the request or if that means on the approvals. To your earlier point, Mr. Driggs, who's already in the pipeline, what does that mean for them? Because I do think there needs to be an off-ramp or some understanding for folks who are already in the pipeline. But yeah, so I'm supportive. I say that to say that I'm supportive of both, as long as we do it with surgical precision in regards to where we believe the most harm may be happening and how long we're going to do one for. And then in the meantime, I'm absolutely supportive of continuing these conversations to get to the right ultimate policy place.
I think you nailed it.
All right. So I've got a few other people that want to have some comments here. And so our first one is Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I won't be long because I think Councilmember Anderson really articulated where we need to go, and the mayor has set the table for us on the May 11th, and so I understand or maybe I don't understand why we're moving so fast, right? I think we ought to do our homework and make sure that we all collectively have the same understanding, the same information, and even have some conversations among ourselves. But I think Ms. Anderson kind of clearly laid it out, and the mayor's already teed it up, so I'll probably vote against it, but certainly very interested in the conversation and the policy direction that we have to go.
All right. And Ms. Owens?
I think there was somebody before me.
JD, Mr. JD?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to be clear about what the motion is. It is to not place a moratorium, but to place a public hearing. Am I?
So I'll let attorney answer that.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Mazzaletta Arias and Councilmember Ajamira. The motion is for a public hearing on the 11th. The public hearing is required for any moratorium consideration that will be longer than 61 days. And if, for any moratorium that would be considered 61 days or more, there is a requirement that there be notice at least 10 days ahead of the hearing. And so we have to, council will need to factor in that number of days for any potential moratorium, right? Any hearing on that, because we don't want there to be a failure on the process piece of a
And
consideration.
the public hearing would allow to invite all stakeholders to the table, those that know the real harmful impacts of data centers in residential areas, as well as those corporations that profit from building data centers.
Correct, Councilmember Mazzaletta Arias. The other thing I would add too, part of the moratorium requirements, one of the legislative findings is that there has to be a study, right? A study of the unique pieces that would even necessitate the need for a moratorium. And per statute, there has to be, council would need to find the least restrictive amount of time possible.
Right.
And then if, let's say you get into the process and learn more information, then there would need to be another period of time considered, and there's another opportunity for a public hearing to consider that as well.
Not tonight.
So this public hearing would not, in consequence, place a moratorium that day.
No, a vote would be required to actually enter the moratorium. Just placing it on the calendar does not, in and of itself, enter the moratorium.
May I get an understanding of the difference between what the mayor did
Thank you.
and what is being motioned?
Exactly.
Sure. So
as I understand it, the mayor's referral item would be for discussion on this topic and exploration of data centers more generally.
Yeah.
As opposed to the motion that Councilmember Ajmira made, it would place a public hearing on for discussion, and if council at the conclusion of that public hearing decided it wanted to enter a moratorium, it could do so on the 11th. Without that, without the public hearing on the 11th, council could not enter a moratorium on the 11th. And that's not even including the notice issues that I was discussing just ago.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. I think it is of essence to also put the public hearing on the same day. I think we can do both options, yes and. I think we can have a discussion, but I also think time is of the essence as data centers, particularly specifically in my district, are being proposed across the city. There's one that's going to be built, right, if I'm not correct, in District 4, Renee Johnson's district. And so I don't know how much more discussions we can do as a council without also placing a public hearing on the date. I think we can be proactive and do both things. It is something that I've been speaking to the attorney on since December when I first learned about this rezoning happened. Something that Councilmember Mayfield, you sounded the alarm 2 years ago on it. So I don't know how much more discussions we have to do to really understand the impacts. I mean, the public research is there, and I don't know what benefit it'll do to see the quote-unquote benefits of data centers or even the harms. I think we should approach it proactively and do both things.
All right, so our next speaker is Ms. Kimberly Owen.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you. And thank you, colleagues. I think I've spoken to this issue with several of you before tonight, and I believe I've also put into the room when we've had discussions of data centers that I still have additional learnings that I need to undertake. I have also expressed a concern that a moratorium is something that really sends a message. And I don't know if that's where we need to be on this issue because I quite honestly don't know enough about it. I have expressed a concern that pushing these offshore is a greater risk to our citizens than having them well located. And I'm not saying within our residential areas. I'm not saying that at all. But I want to understand and put in context the variety of places who have done these moratoriums, how that has been received, and how we may or may not be hurting our residents by rushing to judgment on a moratorium. So I personally would like to understand more on May 11th, but I do appreciate the leadership that's been expressed by Councilmember Ajmira, but I personally need more information before I would be comfortable even hearing from an entire packed room full of people, because I feel as though there are some folks who are anti-AI, who are using data centers as a means to try to shut down AI. And I don't think that we're there, but I also do agree that we need to be good stewards of our resources, particularly our water, while we're in the middle of a drought. So I've got a whole lot of thoughts swirling that do not put me in a situation, regardless of what I hear on the 11th, that I'm going to be comfortable voting on a moratorium. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Mayfield.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Manager Jones, if this calendar that I'm looking at is correct, on the 4th is when we're going to have the budget discussion, which means on the council action review on the 11th, isn't that when we're supposed to have our budget hearing?
Yes.
Okay, there is no possible way that with the budget hearing discussion, the way that goes, that we're going to have these major conversations on the same date. So I just want to make sure that that we remember the calendar and that community knows May 11th is our budget hearing. That is not a 30-minute conversation. This is not a 30-minute conversation. So as we're having, even though I support Councilmember Ajmira's recommendation, mainly because we have received notice from Charlotte Water to reduce our water intake. We are seeing the impacts of the environment, and we don't have very specific language regarding cooling, internal cooling on data centers, as well as a internal recycling system on data centers and the impact that that would have when we just signed a contract with our neighbors in Gastonia to expand our water.
Yeah.
We just recently signed a contract with our neighboring towns to have access to the water. We need to have the opportunity to have a real conversation of what this looks like. So if there's support for a moratorium, that will at least give us enough of a pause so that we don't have a lot of applications coming in to identify industrial manufacturing space, not anywhere near residential, because there are physical impacts. There are challenges within our CAP program. There are other challenges that have been identified through science data and science magazines regarding the impact of data centers, but we need the opportunity to have that conversation. And as Councilmember Ashmira mentioned, this isn't a new conversation. I mentioned this back in 2023. Us slow walking is what now is putting us in a position where we feel like we need to do something now or it never happens. That was a year and a half plus where we had the opportunity to put energy into this conversation that we chose to kick the ball down the road. But if we're talking about May 11th, I want us to be very realistic. We're doing budget review. That is not fair to the community. It's not fair to this council. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Well, I certainly would hope that we would be able to take another, I'm sorry. Ms. Ashmira?
Thank you. Councilmember Mayfield, that's a great catch. You're right. I don't want us to have this conversation and steal the manager's thunder after he presents his budget. So, Madam Attorney, would 18th, the zoning be something that we could add it to the agenda?
Could.
Okay.
You could.
So I hear what Councilmember Owen's concerns are around getting additional information. This gives us an opportunity to have it at the committee, because there is a committee meeting
May 4th.
May 4th, right? And then that gives us 2 weeks, which is May 18th, to Councilmember Drake's concern. This gives the committee some time to review it before it comes up in front of us on May 18th for a hearing. And that also satisfies the legal requirement that the attorney had mentioned earlier. So
I want to understand what you're suggesting. Are you proposing for May 4th?
No, I'm saying May 18th, but that gives your committee an opportunity to discuss it on May 4th.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
We have a hugely overloaded agenda already for May 4th, which will include addressing I-77 issues. So as a practical matter, it'd be very hard to make room for another topic.
On May 4th.
Right. On May 4th.
Next week.
I mean, we've already overscheduled that meeting, and some new things have come into the conversation. It's going to be very hard for us to do that, the work that we already have ahead of us that day.
Yeah, and, this work is very important, and it requires a sense of urgency. I just talked about how our current UDO allows by right in so many of our zoning, unlike other cities and municipalities. With our Unified Development Ordinance, we allowed by right data centers in so many zoning districts that other municipalities does not. So this does require that council take an action and at least prioritize it at the Transportation Committee meeting, not over I-77 discussion, but it could be a second item on the agenda.
There's already items.
It's an important topic. There's no way we can do justice on just short notice at a committee meeting on the 4th. It does take advance work. It takes staff work in order to position that meeting. And frankly, I agree with you entirely on the importance. The urgency is something that I have a harder time with. I agree with Ms. Mayfield. This has been out there for a long time. It is critical that we do something. It's not critical that we do something in the next couple of weeks. I think we can give ourselves a little more time than that and be deliberate. There are a lot of things, as Ms. Anderson pointed out, that need to be we all need to learn. And I wouldn't want to sit in a hearing and not have educated myself and be listening to people talking on this subject.
There's no vote.
So
Absolutely important. I appreciate the initiative. I just think that that particular level of urgency is not called for.
I think all of us appreciate this. So, Mr. Jones, do you have?
I'll try to be
suggestion?
helpful about the 11th. So what we do is on the second Monday, we have the agenda preview, which really tries to set us up for success for the fourth Monday, a lot of action items. So, and then the last meeting, when we put too much on the agenda, it wasn't a great result. So we would start at 5 typically, and that would be the agenda preview. And whatever time is allotted there could be for whatever topic you want. 6:30, we come here, and the budget hearing is just like any other hearing you would have. It would be on the agenda, but it would be after you convene here at 6:30. So I just want to lay out what the 11th looks like and whether or not you'd like to come in earlier or things like that. But I don't think we have anything populated for agenda preview that could not be altered. I'm sorry? MPTA updates what we have. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, let's see, Kimberly?
So, thank you, Mayor. I want to just speak very intentionally because I had been one of the people that complained probably the most vociferously with respect to the long meeting that we had. And part of that was not so much born of me not wanting to be in a meeting. It was us showing up hours late for the people who were sitting in this chamber. So I just want to be very intentional that I'm not trying to say I don't like long meetings. I'm not trying to say I don't want to do the work. What I'm trying to say is that our action preview needs to be very thoughtfully limited to the amount of time that we've told people because we cannot have people sitting here for 2 hours waiting for us. So however you use that time, I personally, on the data center issue, would very much prefer that this be heard by committee first, be that committee in May, if that can happen. If it can't, then in June, and then that it come to us so that we're more fully informed for a public hearing.
So what is, right?
Yeah, and I'll speak very, I agree wholeheartedly, committee, council, and then maybe a public hearing. I think those are the action steps. Because I too, and I'm very supportive of what you're trying to do, but I don't see, as Councilmember Drake said, the need to not follow the mayor's lead, which is have that initial conversation on the 11th and to kick this thing, get started.
So,
Okay.
No question.
So
I
Question.
have
I
a,
think that this,
just, Mayor.
we've got, I want, you're talking about times and all of that. We still have a,
Exactly.
We got 11 more to go.
All of us got to go around.
I just wanted to amend my motion. I wanted to amend my motion
The
based.
intention was 3 minutes when we do this.
Is it 3 minutes?
That's nowhere in the
Yes.
policy. We've been talking about voting on it
Yes,
forever. and
but
we
that,
just never
yeah,
did.
we never did.
Yeah.
Well,
Set the timer.
sorry? Okay. So I just wanted to make sure, based on Councilmember Owen's feedback and attorney's timeline, I think the June 8th would be the next one. So that aligns with the timeline that Councilmember Owens just suggested.
That's if we want to do a hearing, right? We have to get to that point,
But that,
that we want to actually do it.
Should we talk on the 11th?
We should talk on the 11th.
yeah, that gives public an opportunity to come down and speak.
Can we?
So Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, just a point of information. We have I thought this was a council topic.
Right.
Go
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
This is an important conversation, but we've spent well over 20 minutes on it.
sure.
And we have a motion on the floor.
Right.
and-
Call the
and
question.
All of us, let's,
question?
yes.
Yes.
all right, so we're going to call the question for
So-
the,
Change it to June 8th, right?
Yeah, so just to change it to June 8th.
I'm sorry,
So
I couldn't hear what was going on down there.
Um,
Andrea, did you,
I was just stating, I believe the motion is being amended. Councilmember Ajmir is changing it from May 11th to June 8th.
business agenda. Okay.
next business meeting.
Okay.
So that allows more time to Councilmember Owens concern.
So what is the time? 8?
June 8th.
June 8th.
And this is a public hearing and a staff review?
No, the staff review.
Can schedule it later.
All right, we have a motion on the floor for a June 8th meeting that would be, would have the actual work for talking about data centers. So
I'm sorry, just a point of clarity. This is for a public hearing.
Hearing.
We're about to vote on it. That was the
Public
motion.
hearing?
Yes.
Public hearing.
Oh,
You've already put it on the agenda for
the agenda
May
for
11th.
discussion.
but
I think this motion is for a public hearing to be held on data centers.
June 8th.
On June 8th.
So
all
May,
right, we have a motion on the floor, and so we need to go ahead and make the motion. All in favor of the motion on the floor?
Just wanted to clarify.
Okay, so
Make
you're going
it
to
clear.
clarify it exactly what it is?
I second,
Yeah.
Councilmember Ashmira's initial motion.
Mayfield seconded.
All right, you have a second.
Okay, we have a first and a second, so let's try. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand.
Do you want me to address the legal process? I think there's a question about the legal process. No, okay.
We got it.
I think we're okay.
Keep us in
Okay,
10 days here.
Keep you in the same.
all in favor,
So
please
we're
raise.
voting on the motion that Councilmember Ashmira made
Right.
with the amendment for
June
the
8th
date.
versus May 11th.
Yes,
To the date, okay.
all right. All in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That doesn't pass.
All opposed.
Okay. Almost.
Well, it's only 10 of us here.
Anyone else?
Any opposed?
You need 6
Any
to
opposed?
pass.
You do.
1.
But it's only 10
You
of
have
us
to
here.
call for the opposition, and so.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mayor, you was asking for the opposition.
Yes, the opposition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So it's tied.
So, Mayor,
That's a tie. Madam Mayor, you need to vote.
It's a tie.
Oh,
Mayor.
I'm going to vote, this is so funny. I am going to support the idea that we continue as it is. And so I really do believe that this is important, but I don't believe that we ought to have a public hearing and to do something without more actually understanding from me. I'm a little bit like council member, as we would say, I just don't feel comfortable talking about something without
That's a
having
no.
some research and some information around it. So
you're a no?
I am a no.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. Come on.
All right.
But it's still on the agenda on May 11th.
That hasn't changed.
Yeah, that hasn't changed, so we'll still have a discussion.
I hope, honestly, I hope that we'll utilize the people in this community to do this and do it well, so, because that's who's going to live with it. So we ought to be doing our very best and getting some information about it. Okay.
So Mayor, we're here with Council Member Watlington first.
Watlington.
Council
Let's go,
topics.
now it's topic
Yep.
time.
Thank you.
We got a closed session.
So I think this last conversation we just had is a good example. I think that data centers is one arm. I think the overarching theme, which is probably the most important topic of our generation really, is smart growth and how we're going to grow as a city, whether it's housing, whether it's data centers, whether it's economic development, whether it's transportation. We've got to grapple with this, and I agree that there is a sense of urgency, and I think that people generally understand that. I think where we end up with the gap is that we always seem to allow our process to be the hindrance, and I feel like we've got to develop better ways of working such that our own internal processes are not shortchanging the outcomes for the people. There's no way we should be talking about data centers for a year and a half and then be nickel and diming a week or this week or how many minutes on an agenda. At some point, we've got to be responsive. It's not enough to know, we've got to do. And so I just think about, we saw what happened when we waited for 6 months on the UDO, when we knew policy 2.1 was going to lead to potential overgrowth and overdevelopment in particular areas. And when we got ready to do something about it, it was too late. So we've got to figure out how to accelerate our gains while also doing quality work. And given that we're right here in the budget season, if that means that we need to talk about what our staff needs to look like to deliver better analysis more quickly, then we got to have those conversations. But we cannot continue down this path of talking about things and not taking action because we don't have enough information. We got to go get it. And so how do we do that in the spirit of that as it relates to transportation specifically? Many of you know that I'm working on a partnership with our university in regards to how do we execute analysis and how do we update our transportation and our land use modeling so that we can decide based on what's important to our community and understanding the impacts. We can make choices about what we want to invest in, and so we're not having alternatives-focused conversations. So anyway, I say that to say more to come, but I just caution us in light of the conversation that we just had. Inaction is action, and so we gotta steward that differently. That's all for me.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just kind of echoing what Victoria and Dimple just really talked about. Excited to share that we've been working hard on a resolution regarding 77 South expansion. So we have been working on a draft that we've shared with council members, hoping to continue that conversation either in a committee meeting, but I know you also have referred that to May 11th. I think, as a whole, we need to really come up with how do we think about, smart growth, but how do we also protect community as well. So hoping that this is a good first step as we're thinking through how do we move people, but how do we do so responsibly. So excited to continue to have those conversations with you all, and glad that, so many of us have worked to collaborate on this for quite a few weeks, and hoping that this is something that the community will back as we're thinking through measures to ensure that we're being respectful and responsible for our residents. So thank you all for continuing your patience as I'm new and just kind of figuring things out and thinking through how do I, make sure that District 3 and all of the city is receiving the support that they need. So thank you.
Okay, Ms. Sanderson.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Mayo. And I'm looking forward to the conversations that we'll have on the resolution. However, I just wanted to share two quick things. One is on the 18th, we had our 4th annual Eastside Intergovernmental Summit, and it was at the Eastway Recreation Center, Regional Recreation Center, and it was amazing. We had the Big Five there. We had this gentleman sitting next to me, as well as the county manager, the superintendent of CMS, the sheriff, and the chief of police, and they had the opportunity to answer questions directly from East Side residents around what was top of mind and what they're concerned about. So phenomenal facility, the Eastway Regional Recreation Center, and just thank you. That was a phenomenal discussion. We got really, really good feedback. Secondly, I just wanted to highlight something going on in the community last weekend. The Realtors Association had a Realtors Day, and they were in community all throughout the city of Charlotte, but in particular, I had the opportunity to go to an elder who's aging in place in the Hidden Valley community, and they did a full day of dedication work, fixing her deck, fixing other things, all within one day, and it was amazing, and really and truly helped her stay in the house that she received from her parents, and she had already said that she's going to pass it down to her son. So this would be a third generational asset in a historically African-American community in the city of Charlotte. So was really proud to see that, and happy that the Realtors Association was able to bring that work to her. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. You all should have a vanilla folder at your table. At the dais, we heard earlier from about several speakers about noise cameras. And so probably since January, I've been meeting with the hotels located in the center city, and I'm glad they came down here and voiced their concern about noise cameras. So, Madam Mayor, I would like if you could refer this to the Public Safety Committee, and so we can decide what policy we think would fit having a noise camera for our center city.
Owens, are you done?
Yes.
Oh,
Lieutenant,
okay,
yeah.
so I'm sorry. And so now we'll keep moving on around. Let's
Okay.
see.
So if I can just very briefly piggyback on what was just said, I would like to expand that, Mayor, and ask that that be considered more broadly than just Center City. District 6 has had a number of corridors, and that is a repeated question that I get, is where is the enforcement with respect to these car muffler situations? I haven't heard it from the hotels, and so I want to prioritize the hotel district. I think that is exceptionally important, but I would hope that we also can look at it more broadly. I do want to park just very briefly on the comments that I had raised or had hoped to raise tonight. I'm appreciative of the mayor putting on our May 11th discussion agenda the resolution that some of us have been working on behind the scenes, and I appreciate the good grace that's been given us by our colleagues as we bring them into the fold. In the month of April, I've been very intentional in doing a listening tour with my residents in District 6 who shared their thoughts about I-77 South. Those who have spoken to me have fallen into two buckets. Either they don't trust the I-77 South project, or they really don't trust the I-77 South project. So the first camp has spoken to me that they've looked at the math, and they don't have confidence that what we're getting is worth the 50 years of toll revenue that we're going to be paying. They question whether this is worth the exposure to scammers that we're going to be granting with the toll system and pay-by-mail uncertainties. I think we've already seen that with some of our toll roads. They also query whether the project, as it's currently modeled, addresses congestion at all, something that still needs to be proven to them. And if it does, how long does it address that congestion? Is it worth the cost? Those who really don't trust it have expressed they have all of those concerns, and then layer on the concern that communities, especially historically undervalued communities, are going to be displaced again. And I hear most often, quote, didn't we stop doing that in the 1950s and 60s? So I just want to put that into the room, that this is the concern that I'm hearing from District 6. I am told repeatedly, personally, that this is the most expensive project in North Carolina history, and that folks have been working on it for decades. And for me, that motivates me to ensure that we get it right. I want to know how this displacement will cause, either if it's at grade or elevated, how does it compare to other takings that we've experienced in the state, and what levers do we have at our disposal to make sure that these efforts are really showing some innovation in design, as well as community-focused offsets, and perhaps from the state beyond the $100 million bonus allocation to address displacement. So to my colleagues, I say let us explore how we got here with the knowledge that we've got now, explore a path that works best. I am not in favor of rescinding this until we have done a really deep dive, and I'm hopeful that the resolution provides us that opportunity, and I appreciate the mayor's leadership in putting on the agenda for the 11th. So thank you.
Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have two items, and I'll be very quick. Over the last 30 days, the West Charlotte Batesford Road community has received two major announcements. One, Wells Fargo has donated $8 million to various nonprofit organizations that are serving Batesford Road and the West Charlotte community. They made an announcement at Johnson C. Smith University about 2 weeks ago. And about 4 weeks ago, the CVS Foundation made a similar pledge of $2.5 million to support nonprofit organizations working on the Batesford Road corridor, as well as West Charlotte. This is yet another example of our corridors of opportunity working, which is a combination of both public and private investment to ensure that these corridors that we're working on are adequately funded, both from the public perspective and private donations to nonprofit organizations actually doing the work, having boots on the ground, providing services relating to healthcare, food deserts, and community development. In addition, there was a great reception last week to help fill the final gaps for the Historic Excelsiors Club in District 2. And so, as you know, the city and the county has combined a $3 million investment. They worked last week to close the gaps. I'm really excited about the Excelsiors Club coming online sooner than later, restoring the tradition, the legacy of entrepreneurship on the Batesville Road corridor. Lastly, and probably more importantly, there was a great job fair over the weekend hosted by the Charlotte Douglas Airport. Over 1,800 job seekers and 17 employers were at the Bowplex looking for job opportunities at the airport. People want to go work at the airport. The Aviation Department also this week will hold a resource fair available to the 22,000 badge individuals who work at the airport for issues relating to housing, finance, healthcare, et cetera. Again, outward mobility. Folks get jobs and try to climb the ladder to get better jobs at the airport and or outside of the airport. So I'm really excited about that. And that doesn't include all the construction workers who are working at the airport each and every day. And so I just wanted to lift that up because that's great economic development news, job news, workforce development news, and also continue to invest from the private perspective what's happening on our corridors of opportunity in general and specifically on the Batesville Road corridor. West side is the best side.
Colleagues, good evening. We've heard about I-77 a couple of times already. I think you kind of know where I stand on this. You have in front of you a document. It's called Facts, Myths, and Consequences. I hope you will all read it carefully. I'm not going to recite from it tonight, but it reiterates the reason this project is important. It tries to respond to some misconceptions that have fueled a lot of the opposition. And I know also that there is a lot of pressure from groups on all of us, frankly, me too, to move towards a rescission. And I want to tell you that we share their concern. We all do, including me. And I want to emphasize I'm old enough. I remember when Dr. King was assassinated. I remember the civil rights movement. I saw whites-only signs. It was a tragedy for our country and painful to behold. So we all have that motivation and share the concern of some of the protesters, but that doesn't mean we have to do their bidding. And so what I'm asking is that we read this document and we keep an open mind and we just stay focused on getting the best outcome we can. And any action right now that tries to get the CRTPO to intervene or to shut it down denies us the opportunity to see what is possible and what we might be able to get. I believe the resolution that I appreciate is a powerful statement of our concern for our constituents and our values, and it will be a foundation for future conversations. But we must have those conversations. And at some point, there is still every opportunity that we have now in the future to make a move to shut it down. If we really get to the point where we feel that's what we have to do. So rather than take precipitous actions to shut it down right away, let's roll with this a bit. Let's pass our resolution. Let's make clear where we stand, hold NCDOT accountable. I know that one of the reasons we're in this predicament is because the NCDOT didn't really handle this very well. They started this process. They did not recognize the sensitivity of those neighborhoods and the historical context. And now we're trying to recover from that, frankly. And I've been trying to recover from that. I didn't recognize it either. I have to be honest. No one sort of said, hey, be careful over there. But let's see if we can steer towards an outcome that solves the problems on I-77 and also is very respectful of those neighborhoods and puts them in a better position than they are now in the future. So that's what I'll say about that now. I'm supportive of the resolution. I hope we can work together to get that passed. Thank you.
The fact that it's not on the agenda
Thank
today.
you, Madam Mayor. One, I would say that I'm happy to hear about the airport job fair this past weekend. I'm hoping that they are continuing what we started when I created the District 3 Airport Job Fair that ran for 7 years. One of the commitments that I had, even back in 2012 that started, is that it was jobs that were ready to hire immediately because they identified the openings. And even in 2012, those positions committed to a minimum of $15 an hour back then. So we would think that it would be increased today. It was disheartening to hear from a number of our employees that are both our fire employees and our employees at the airport who are in positions where they're having to make serious choices and are underpaid without access to insurance. So that is something that we need to figure out how to identify partners that recognize the value in paying their employees. If you cannot afford to live in our city, which is a concern that I have had for years, which is why earlier's comment regarding housing was disappointing as far as I'm concerned, because if our employees cannot afford to live here, we are going to see the mass exodus from Charlotte that we have seen that has migrated to Charlotte. Yet, for our employees for our residents that live here, Mayor, I would like to request a follow-up referral to Housing Committee to explore the potential of amending our minimum housing code to mandate working air conditioning equipment during the summer months. We've had this conversation for a number of years. As part of the minimum housing code referral to the Housing Committee, actually back in 2025, the committee directed staff to evaluate the viability of amending the minimum housing code to require air conditioning equipment in all dwellings. The city has made tremendous efforts, and I want to acknowledge our team because they have done some great work with our 2025 window unit distribution, as well as the HVAC pilot program and stakeholder engagement. As we continue to see environmental impacts with record heats over 100 degrees. If it's 100 degrees outside, you're looking at 115 plus inside of a home that doesn't have air conditioning. Window units are not necessarily the best or the most efficient type of unit. So this will be a part of the conversation for our minimum housing code. So either 6 votes on council if it needs to be in the form of a motion, or Mayor, you have, of course, the ability to refer it to committee. I would like to ask for you to refer it to committee, and I have already talked to my outgoing chair, which I'm still not happy about, but I have talked to my outgoing executive director of housing to have the conversation to see if we're probably looking at, and Attorney Leslie Fite, correct me, or if I say this incorrectly, we were looking at like September to give enough time, because we have a number of major conversations happening, but would love to get that referral to the Housing and Neighborhood Services Committee. Do I need to make that in the form of a motion to go through the whole vote process, or can I just? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, colleagues. I want to start off by inviting everyone to my first inaugural town hall in District 5 this Thursday, April 30th at One Church Charlotte off of Albemarle Road from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We'll have Miss Dee Dee's Haitian Caribbean Kitchen catered. So it'll be a good time. We'll have a lot of our staffing experts here. All right. So my topic, I do really like working with all of my colleagues, and I deeply respect my colleagues, but this council has me deeply, deeply frustrated. It seems like we want to quote-unquote roll with every problem that faces the working people of this city every single time, and I think we have to show up differently as a council, as elected leaders. How many more conversations do we need to have about something before action is made on it? Especially conversations that we've been discussing for years. I mean, we knew I-77 was coming, and it hit us like a deer in headlights. I think I'm just frustrated of the lack of action on any pressing, urgent issue that is facing our community. Victoria, and I think I'm also frustrated with the inconsistency that we sometimes show as a council. You know, Victoria Wallington, Dr. Victoria Wallington, a council member, suggested earlier this evening to bring the Housing Trust Fund recommended projects back to committee And that was not approved or not spoken about, but yet with data centers, we want to bring it back to committee. There's inconsistency there, and I think oftentimes, we have outside relationships that might influence the way we vote. I think the weight of decisions that we have as a council impact our neighborhoods, the weight of expectations from a city of nearly 1 million people, the weight of knowing that sometimes, even when we want to act, the tools in front of us feel very limited. For example, how do we come up with a resolution? What are the legal avenues? How do we put something on the agenda? I really do, and maybe it's because I'm 27 and impatient.
Maybe a little bit.
Yes.
I'm impatient too, though.
But it's also, Councilmember Driggs, yes, I'm right, but it's also because we're a generation that have lived through a pandemic, that are facing an affordable housing crisis, that are facing layoffs, a healthcare crisis. I really do not think we're here as public elected officials to serve the systems, to serve access. I think we're here to serve people. People who don't have lobbyists, people who don't have direct lines to us, and people who trust that when they're not in the room, we're lifting their voices up. And so do the voices that are not always centered in the conversations. The residents who wonders that what these decisions mean for their livelihoods, their commute, their neighborhood, the workers who show up every day to keep this city running, and still struggles to make ends meet. The airport, I think about the airport service workers whose labor keeps our city moving, yet those working conditions are often remain invisible. And those workers who speak up and when they organize like SEIU 32BJ, who are helping elevate the voices of those workers. And we should pause to listen to those voices and not pause to question their legitimacy, but to listen more closely to them. Because I feel like if we begin to doubt the lived experiences of the most vulnerable among us, then we risk losing sight of where we are, why we're here in the first place. And I think our role is to balance, and I'll be honest, as somebody new to this body, as someone that's young, I've had to navigate what it means to hold that balance, to understand the access that we get, who has it, who expects it, and how we as a council engage with it, because access to us should never feel like a given, which brings me to something that I hope this council can explore together, the hard ask, which is asking ourselves whether our processes make it just easy to elevate the concerns of working families as it is to advance the priorities of developers. To examine whether we have internal barriers, bureaucratic, gatekeeping, limitations on agenda setting that are preventing us from even having the conversations our constituents are asking us to have, and to ensure that we, when a council member wants to bring forward an idea rooted in community need, that there is a clear and fair path to do so. And so how do we strengthen our ability as a council to act on behalf of the people? How do we ensure that when a council member sees a need in their district, that we listen to what Councilmember Graham tells us about the housing projects that are coming to, the affordable housing projects that are coming to his district, that we listen to Councilmember Ishmira when she thinks there's an urgency for data centers. How do we look at our own processes and ask whether they empower us to lead or to unintentionally hold us back from having any action? I think we all have a belief, a purpose, a commitment to serve. And if we can hold on to that, if we can let that guide us, even in moments where the tools feel limited, our impact does not have to be. Because I really do think that ultimately public service at its core is not about what is easiest, it's about what is right to do even when it seems hard. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I just wanted to, okay, thank you too. So I just wanted to say that I know many of you know Aisha Du, who is on our delegation. Her mother passed this weekend. I had an opportunity, Ruth Du was someone that came along and brought people with her. She was particularly a person that you would go to create places where children that were brown children or black children had an opportunity to learn art and to learn music and to learn so many other things. So I just wanted to mention that to you as you know, and if you want to see, Aisha is, I think, at home, and so that's my suggestion for the end of this meeting. We do have another we have a closed session to go into. I'm sorry, Mayo? Ms.
Yeah.
Mayo?
Madam Attorney said that I could still make a motion or say something. So I would like to make a motion, kind of echoing what JD is saying, making sure we're being active and being thoughtful of what our constituents are asking. So I'd like to make a motion that on May 11th, we vote on the resolution regarding I-77 South.
Second.
Okay.
That is
I thought.
already on the agenda.
And we
It's
take a
already
vote,
on the
right?
agenda.
No, I'm asking to vote on it on May 11th, not just to discuss it.
You can
Second.
make that motion based on the fact that it's on the agenda. It's open for you to make the
Oh, okay.
motion on the
Yeah,
11th.
it's fine.
You can do that.
But we can vote.
Yeah, but we want to take an action.
It's on the, once it's on the agenda, you can vote. Okay, doesn't matter. No, there is not a motion to adjourn, there is a motion.
Mayor, Attorney.
So once it's placed on the agenda, the requested action would be to vote on the item. So for clarification's sake,
That's
that
on
would
May
be
the
the
11th
purpose
that we're
on
planning.
May 11th.
Okay, so we will be voting on that.
There will be, the requested, I just want to be clear with Mr. Manager, the requested action would be to consider voting on the,
It's not just discussing. Okay. All right, just want to make sure.
Okay, so we have one closed session planned, so we need to get ready and go into
are you, just for,
separate room.
But there is a.
We gotta have a vote.
Yes, please read the
before we move to the motion for the closed session, there was a motion on the floor from Councilmember Mayo. Based on the new information, Councilmember Mayo, would you like to withdraw your motion?
Yes, I would like to withdraw.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay, so now will you read the motion for our closed session?
Yes, Madam Mayor, and if one of the council members would adopt this motion. The motion is to go into closed session for the following purpose: to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body, including agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiations pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A4.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion, and all in favor?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's try to do this as quickly as we can.